Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of 40K Fight Club. This week's episode is called The Meta Adapts? I don't know how to vocalize a question mark, so I'm just going to say it out loud. I am your host, Innes Wilson. I am joined today by Nathan, Anthony, and also a special guest, Colin, who is muted in the top corner at the moment. Ignore him. We'll get back to him later. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. I didn't have as eventful of a weekend as you did, Innes, which I'm sure we'll be talking about quite a bit later in the show, but it's good. I got 6 Void Weavers prepped, some Harlequin characters ready to go, and some troop squads assembled and magnetized. So I've got a bunch of stuff ready for Adepticon at the end of March. Just need to paint it this weekend. But that's me. I'm having a good time with the Craft World Eldar book right now. Although just one half of it.
The good half.
Yeah. So the good part. It's the important part.
Yeah. How about you, Anthony? How are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. I am continuing to soldier on, playing Mono Drukhari minus a small patrol of Harlequins. It's real tiny. Don't worry about it. It's definitely not 660 points of Drukhari and like 1,300 points of Harlequins, but it's Mono Drukhari because I could still
A
take
small
my
patrol. Yeah.
So don't worry about that. Ignore them. They're over there. We still have power from pain. We're still taking Herd the Prey. Drazar's the Warlord. Mono Drukhari. At least that's what BCP is going to see when I put it in for that RTT on Saturday. Yeah, so I'm going to an event next week. I got some testing games with the new list. In my 3 testing games I've played now, my opponents have a combined primary score of 16, I think. So testing is going well. As it turns out, really, really fast, really punchy OBSEC is really good at making your opponent's primary really bad. So yeah, it's been good. It's been a lot of fun. The bikes everyone keeps telling me are not very good are extremely strong, which has been fun, especially when you make them unshootable outside of being 6 inches away from them. So that helps. Yeah, it's been a ride. It's been fun. I'm looking forward to new codex.
So are you telling us that the pundits aren't 100% correct about every codex that drops?
Well, they nailed Custodes so hard that I thought they would be right about this too. So but alas, it was incorrect.
Oh, what a shame. The community got it wrong again. Well,
Yeah.
as for myself, I was at GT this weekend, which I can't wait to talk about a little bit about when we come to it. I did end up winning it with Tyranids. That makes it 2 in a row for me now. I'm going to keep that up. Got another like 3 this month, so yeah, I got a lot more to work on, but looking forward to that. What we are going to do now, though, is we are going to hand over to Colin for a second, who is going to give a very special announcement about how we are going to be continuing the podcast going forward. I know we've been saying for the last couple of weeks that we're going to be doing a part 1, part 2 split. Colin's going to give us confirmation on exactly what's going on with that just now, directly from the network themselves. I'm going to hand over to Colin.
Hey everybody. So you told me not to talk, and then you basically talked smack about the Craft World part of the Codex. I want to be clear that that's a thing that happened, and I was respectful of your show and didn't come out and say, I gave you a show, I didn't know you were an idiot. Like I didn't. Anyways.
If you couldn't figure that out from my Discord performance, then you have your own problems.
The Harlequin part is cool and all, but that Craft World book is fire. It is so cool, and it's so deep, and it's so flavorful. Anywho, for those that don't know me, I'm Colin. I'm the creative director for Best in Tabletop. I wanted to let you guys kind of know what we're doing right now, which is we're pivoting to what our go forward model for the network's going to be. This show is great. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep being the way that it is. We talked about doing part 1 and part 2 and having part 2 be only for premium subscribers in its own feed. We've researched that quite a bit, and to be perfectly honest, it sounds like a lot of work that doesn't benefit you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the Fight Club guys take the next week and talk about how they want to split up the show. But we're going to talk about making the part 1 longer and making part 2 shorter and having part 2 be very YouTube focused. So that way everybody listening to this in the podcast feed still gets what they're expecting. And if you want to see the premium bonus content, you go to the YouTube. So that leads me into what's happening, which is in the next few days, we'll be going live with the member section of our YouTube. You're going to be able to subscribe there. It has nothing to do with our Patreon group. 2 different things, 2 different ways to support us. You can join the Discord through patreon.com/bestintabletop, or you can go to YouTube and you can click on the members only area and you can subscribe there. What that gets you is access to all of our video library. That's going to include part 2 of this show every week. It's going to include part 2 of every Chasing the Narrative, which is a show where I take someone from the meta and I talk to them, ask them stories, ask them to tell stories, talk about all types of stuff. Anthony was the first episode. You can go find that on our page. It's also going to have all of our bat reps. So we started doing bat reps with commentary that are abbreviated, so they're easier to follow. They've been a big hit. We've got 6 of them together. I think you guys have only seen 2 of them, but there's 6 of them that are ready to go. Every week we're going to release a couple of those, and some of them will be free for everybody, and the rest will be in that member section on YouTube. So that'll be kind of a tempting thing if you want to see all of our commentary bat reps. And I did just invite Anthony and Ennis to make bat reps for you guys when they're out here for Charity Hammer. That's a thing that I just did. So that'll be great. And then the final thing is the Fight Club After Dark, hosted by Tony V. It's going to be a little risque. It's going to start respectful, but no, it's not. None of this is going to happen. You guys, Ennis wasn't even laughing at that joke. Landed so hard. Okay, that's what I got for you guys. I appreciate everybody for listening to this fantastic show, and I'm going to hand it back to your wonderful hosts and also Ennis.
Wow.
I've got nowhere to go from there.
So there, I got a reaction out of that. I had to be mean. Funny didn't work. I had to be
I was
mean.
muted, Colin. What did you want me to do?
Okay.
Thank you very much, Colin. What you can take from that for everyone listening at home is that part 1 and part 2, as we've been doing this book now, are going to be rejoined into one whole, and we're going to work on a second part now that will be the third part of what we've been doing before. So the 2 bits you've had already are going to be part 1 now, and then there's going to be a new part 2 with even more, because the reaction to this stuff's been so great that we want to keep bringing you all of it and more. So I don't need free time. That is completely overrated. Anthony's going to get a section that he has to do in the Google Doc now, because we're going to hand this that to him. Yeah, he's loving that. So yeah, we are very thankful to Colin and the rest of the Best in Tabletop Network for providing us the opportunity to keep making even more amazing 4K content for you, because you guys all seem to be loving it, and we're loving making it. So
well, that was wonderfully done. I feel bad for making fun of you now. That was
you
that
should.
was great. Okay, guys, have a great show. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye now.
All right, he's gone.
And
Back to
on
Chaos
that-
Bedlam. Woo!
No more parental supervision.
Now that Dad's not watching, I'm going to open the Google Doc up again and go back to the serious stuff, like making fun of Eldar.
Yeah, quickly, get crazy.
I mean, I really wanted to have more of that conversation. I'm making fun of
Innis and Eldar, yeah.
of Colin and Craft World Eldar being the worst half of that book for a while longer, but
Yeah, the real tragedy of the change, honestly, between the part 1 and 2 is that we lose that 5-minute in between where we just flame the chat. But
We'll still keep that, because I'm still going to need to go and refresh my water at some point. So
okay, I guess that's
But yeah,
fair.
we'll still keep the 5 minutes. So if you're not watching the live streams, this is our plug for the live stream now. Now that we can't hand you on with there's going to be extra content.
Yeah.
If you want to hear the 10-minute section in between what we're going to call half 1 and half 2, yeah, you see, got that covered. There will be a small interlude where we will take a couple of questions that are less podcast and YouTube friendly. That's the game plan. So yeah, drop back in for that. If you want to catch us live, you can do that at youtube.com/c/bestintabletop. That is where all the live streams will be. That will be where all the YouTube feeds are. And we're going to launch into the show proper now. And as before, if you're just jumping back in, the show this week is called The Meta Adapts ? And again, I'm never going to figure out how to vocalize that. That doesn't work. That's a mirror. There's a question mark at the end of this week's title, because I'm not sure we believe.
Not yet. Soon our
Okay.
lovely elves will come and save us.
One day our prince will come. It just won't be a good prince. It will be
Yeah.
Tyranid princes, and they will devour us.
Six arms.
6 arms, 7 legs. They worship Slaanesh or something. We're all really confused.
If only.
Okay, themes of the week for this week. If you couldn't tell by the title of the show, the primary storyline of this week has the meta adapted to Terran Custodes, and if so, how? We've had a bit of a lighter week on GTs this week. We only had, I believe, 1 major and 5 GTs. So we're going to have a bit of a dive into factions. We've pulled out a couple of lists that weren't necessarily the winners as well to talk on. And we're going to give a little bit of focus to Nathan on stats about what factions are doing well to Tau. And then we'll have a look at some lists from those factions as well. because there's some really cool like Necron lists and stuff like that that have been doing pretty well into Tau and Custodes. Not all of them at the same time, but sometimes just one of them is enough to shake up the meta a little bit. So Nathan, do you want to fire us off with your pick of the litter, best stat of the week?
So I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is that there are some factions that bounced back a little bit or seemingly are doing a little bit better. The bad news is the meta is like 95% the same that it has been for like the last 4 weeks. So
I'm shocked, honestly, just horrified. Do you mean that people aren't not playing the good armies because it's not fun for them?
no, in fact, even more people seem to be playing the good armies. So we've gotten to the point where I have a fun stat to tell you all about.
Oh
Where,
no.
but we'll leave that for about 5 seconds. Managed to get enough alcohol in me to feel better about the stat. But first, what we'll talk about is, whoa, I got to the wrong part of the notes, is just some top 10s and top 4s, looking at some of the numbers real quick from this weekend. So we did only have 6 GT sized or larger events this weekend, so a much lighter weekend than last weekend where we had like 12.
Too many, yep.
Yeah, too many to really want me to do write-ups for all of them. But this week our top factions for performance are Custodes, Tau, Tyranids, Necrons, and then Drukhari. And then we have Mechanicus right under Drukhari.
And Anthony, how does it feel to hear Necrons above Drukhari?
Oh, it hurts so bad.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. Custodes were 16 of our 60 top 10s this week, and then we're 5 of the top 4s, meaning they were 27% of our top 10s and then 20% of our overall top 4s, while representing about 14% of the meta. So we got about a little bit, right around 2 for overrepresentation of that faction in top 10s and top 4s. We've got Tau next with 15 top 10s, 9 top 4s, meaning they were 25% of top 10s and then 37.5% of top 4s. So
It's
What percentage of the
seeing-
meta were they, just to confirm?
a rate around 11%. So you're seeing about double and then triple. So most of the people who make it into the top 10 also make it into the top 4s of these events. So you're seeing a double for top 10s and then a triple for top 4s. So Tau, very good, in case anybody was unaware.
That doesn't sound right. I feel like Tower are really bad and all the players are just amazing, right? Isn't
That does speak to Tau being better at the top level than Custodes at the top level. Like a well piloted Tau seems to go the distance more frequently than what I will, for the sake of publicity, call a well piloted Custodes.
Well, what I'll talk about in a minute is how Tau have bypassed Custodes, the top faction in the meta
Yep.
right now. We'll break down some of the numbers for that. We'll look at some faction v faction data where we talk about how things have changed and not for the better, and how things have not changed still for not the better. But in cool news, we had Tyranids making a bit of a resurgence. They kind of bounced back after several weeks below the top 50, almost entirely at Innis carrying the whole faction on his back, like just all the way to its 1 GT win this weekend.
They
took
won 2 in a
3
major.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, wait a second. It was 3 events. So Innis only carried a third of the weight of the whole faction on
most
his back this weekend.
The most impressive part is he was actually undefeated this time.
It's true. It's even hot. We don't really publicize our show notes, but in case anybody's wondering, it is bolded, underlined, and highlighted that Innis actually went undefeated at this event. And
Not that would have mattered. I could have conceded my last game, lost 0-20, and still won the tournament. I was that far ahead of second place.
Wow. That is powerful. You should have done it just to say you did.
No, it only happened because he dropped a couple points in the last game. I needed to win to
Oh.
lose no worse than 14-6 to
Gotcha.
confirm it, and then he dropped points, and that meant that I could have taken the 20 loss, but I
Gotcha.
didn't know that before I had beaten the Necron guy in the last round.
That would have been a powerful gamble.
It would have been impressive, but I like trophies too much.
That's fair. I get that.
after Tyranids, what we've got is a sharp drop for Necrons. We've got them at 5 top 10s and 1 top 4. So they're doing pretty well, actually, all things considered. We'll talk about their win rate a little bit later, but in just tournament placements as like a quality standard, you're seeing a lot more Necrons these last couple of weeks in the top 10, which is kind of interesting, especially for a faction that a lot of people kind of put the nail in as dead. After that, we have Drukhari, who only got 4 top 10 placements this weekend, which isn't too great for the previous lords of the meta and all of Kimura.
We're trying. It's hard out here.
I
Oh,
didn't
I
even play Drukhari at my tournament.
We're just not a thing anymore.
I
It's
played
okay.
I played Necrons, didn't play Drukhari. They were too low down,
Yeah.
losing to all the Tau players.
And in other resurrected factions that came back 3 weeks after being pronounced dead, unless you were Richard Siegler, who revives factions regularly to spite everyone else. Mechanicus turned 2 top 10 placements into 2 top 4 placements into a GT win, so they are also doing okay.
Yeah, I think I've proved time and time again to be one of those armies that, on average, doesn't do great, but when in very, very skilled hands, is absolutely capable of closing the distance. We've seen it with Richard Siegler. We've seen it now this week with Manny being able to do it. Rickard Nilsson's been doing it in
Worth it
Sweden.
as well. Yep.
Yeah, so I think Admech are a faction that people gave up on way too early, but they are very, very capable of just losing games if you don't know what you're doing with them. But it's good to see the skill players can still absolutely make that faction sting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a. Oh, go ahead, Nathan.
No, go right on ahead, Anthony.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, I was saying even when it happened, like early and often, that Admech got ditched really hard, like too early, because they were still just like one of the most dangerous armies. And even now, a lot of the stuff that is good, they can be extremely dangerous too, if you're, prone to piloting them at that level.
I did not want to play against them with Crusher. That is
I'm sure.
horrifying. Horrifyingly
Yeah.
terrifying. What if I just lose all my stuff? That doesn't sound good to me.
Yeah. What if you lose 2 big bugs a turn? Oh,
Yep.
that sounds bad.
I'll just run them over with harpies. It's much easier.
Well, remember, if I can't just move 5 units at somebody and beat them, or fire 20d6 shots at them, not nearly as much fun, especially with a long command phase. That's just exhausting.
You could.
Oh yeah,
probably
no,
just
Admech are
always be
definitely.
the chips.
It's incredible how easy you can just make a mistake with Admech and turn the wrong thing on the wrong turn and just lose a game off of it. It's
Oh.
kind of hilarious.
The
Especially-
command phase, like army-wide buff, is particularly bad for that, where it has a downside and you activate it at the wrong time and everybody just dies, and you're like, oh.
What if I just cast Jinx on my entire army? Wonder if that could ever be bad.
And then we'll talk about some general stats now. So Custodes and Tau are the 2 factions that I'm going to talk about the most, because I feel like if I yell enough about it into the interwebs, that somebody eventually will do something about something to fix it. Maybe. I don't know. I keep hoping. Custodes this week had a 64.9% win rate with an overall meta representation, like I said earlier, of about 14.5%. That is down from previous weeks, but still overall, for all the data that we've collected since LVO, we're looking at a 68.5% win rate. That's a near 70% maintained win rate for
6
5
weeks.
weeks now, 5-6 weeks. So we're all just in the Custodes meta, except for Tau, who have decided to carve up the meta, and this weekend won 68.8% of their games, an increase over their previous weeks, and have now got a 67.5% win rate for their data since getting their new book, with a representation in the meta that has grown week to week, every week since book release, and they're now at about 11.3%. That means when you staple those 2 factions together, since you might as well, they're both just winning 70% of their games anyways. They're at about 26% almost of the whole meta is either Custodes or Tau at events. And just so you know, like that's some Space Marines stapled together numbers. We're talking about Space Marines would usually be 15 to 20% of the meta, sometimes 20 to 25, depending on like how Space Marines were doing at the time. And now we've got 2 factions together with their own books at about that same point at a 70%.
That are
So-
broadly not factions you'd consider like the most popular in 40k.
No. One of them, though, is very easy to collect, so I wouldn't be surprised if we hit like a 15% ceiling with Custodes pretty soon. And a lot of people apparently are dusting off all of their mechs, so we'll also see Tau probably get close to a 15.
Or still just trying to find Crisis Hits on the shelves anywhere.
Yeah, or go into their local like Game Storm buying all the Gundam and Gunpla models off the shelves and sticking a bunch of guns onto them and then putting them onto bases and being like, yeah, of course, of course.
I reckon you could probably get figurines that if you sprayed gold would look decent enough as custodes. So
100%. GI Joe sprayed gold.
Yeah.
Same.
Totally a custode. Stick
I
some.
considered using little green plastic army men as my cultists, like back in the day.
Yeah.
So but I reckon you could find upscaled versions.
Yeah. It's got to be close enough. It's basically the same.
Hot Wheels with a dude on top for bikes, like it all seems fairly reasonable.
Perfect.
I
Get
was
it on the
thinking,
right base size and we're good.
I was thinking just cut up some of my sprues and make little army men out of them. It's
Oh,
100%
persuasive.
GW product, so they can't even get mad about it.
That's more like a Necron build, isn't it?
I mean, it can be whatever I want, right? In this,
That is in
line.
the rules. That's true.
So we also are going to talk a little bit about T-Whip. I think T-Whip's a little bit harder to parse for some people. So T-Whip is tournaments in winning position. It's something that 40K Stat Center with Val Heffelfinger and the Falcon came up with and talked about a lot, where you're essentially looking at how many lists are going for at events. It essentially is a ratio. It kind of tells you how overrepresented a faction is in the meta overall. So for custodes, they're at a T-Whip about 2.87. That's very high. You want something around a 1, and this they're almost at a 3.
So what's the correlation between like representation and T-Whip there? Is that like
So
1
there's
in
an
3 versus
So there's an adjustment factor that's put into play as well. So it's a little bit about how overrepresented they are, but it also weighs events based on how many rounds are in that event. So larger events have a larger effect on T-Whip.
right? So it's basically the bigger the number, the better the faction is doing at putting
Mhm.
armies into the 4 and 0, 5 and 0 bracket.
Yep. So 2187 is almost triple where it should be. It should be at 1. Ideally, 1 is where you're at. For this week, just looking at overrepresentation in the meta, it's 1.84, almost 2 for custodes, and then 1.4 or 1.5 times as many as we should see typically in top fours for custodes, which is a decrease to previous weeks. Tau are at a 2.03. So this is using all of our data, so it's not just this week's data. So they're about twice as representative as what we want according to TWIP. And they're at a 2.2 for top 10s and a 3.3 for top 4s this week. So I'm imagining what we're going to see, especially with more events coming into the pipe over the next few weeks, is that custodes are going to drop a little bit, and then TWIP for Tau is going to go up and then surpass custodes. So we'll have a new faction at the top.
Well, we've got our first Tau Super Majors coming up soon, right? We have Adepticon and Newcastle GT, which are both the 25th and 26th that weekend.
Yep.
So look forward to those weekends for explosions in our stats because we will have so many games to look at over those weekends.
Yeah. I'm going to a fairly large GT that weekend as well. I think we've got like 60 players or something like that. So be a couple of big events.
I will be at Adepticon. I'm going to be bringing Harlequins and Drukari to it. So
I'm going to be at Newcastle. I'm going to be bringing Tyranids of some kind to it because I hate myself.
Oh, it's just so bad.
I know,
On
only
two
the third
GTs
best
straight.
army.
Yeah.
All right. And then
Not
we're going to
Newcastle,
move.
sorry, Manchester
no.
GT. Thank you, Martin.
Then we're going to look at movers and shakers from this weekend. So the one that I really wanted to talk about is Tyranids. And especially because Tyranids just got their new book kind of like really cemented for coming out in the next few weeks with their combat patrol. And then also that new Parasite character being announced today with the most hilarious special rule I've ever seen in a long time on it. For
It's
it
itchy,
itches.
bro.
It itches,
It's
yeah.
itchy. It's itchy.
Yeah.
And they had a 62% win rate this weekend, which is quite something considering the faction was at like a 40-ish 2 weeks ago, with Custodes and Tau basically beating all of the Tyranid lists into the dirt, only for them to surge back over the last couple of weeks.
They adapted.
They did.
Tyranids, known for adapting. That is their entire thing. And the only faction I think that is doing a good job of adapting, mostly because the Crusher Stampede rule set is incredibly, incredibly easy to make work with a lot of stuff that you can actually adapt with, which is nice. We'll touch on that a little bit in have to. Yeah, have to. That's the word.
And so they're sitting
second portion.
the second portion where Nathan talks about numbers less. We're at a 55.5% win rate for Tyranids, which is kind of like the sweet spot almost in some ways, like the top part of the sweet spot for balance. at 55%, which is kind of
It
nice.
would have been problematic 2 years ago, but now is just normal win rate.
It's
I'm
a
just-
perfectly acceptable win rate.
You know what? As long as it's less than 60, I just kind of am okay with it at this point.
They're only winning out of 11 out of 20 games, not 14 out of 20.
I'm taking what I can get at this point for balance. I don't know. I've sent like 5 chart-filled emails to GW at this point and figured maybe one day they'll get sick of charts and they'll fix something, but maybe not.
Well, that's a fair question. Are you going to be a doctor before or after the next balance data slate?
I think we can just we'll find out. Innis, we'll just see. Do I get my PhD before a balance slate is released or not?
Just for the podcast listeners, Nathan's name in our viewer for the live stream is Nathan 58 days until Doctor, which we will be counting down every day from now until every episode from now until then. Anthony is Anthony Violence Vanilla because that is the only option, and I am at NSA Wilson. You should follow me on Twitter.
We're counting down to my thesis defense, which is in 50.
Thesis defense.
Yeah, it's not like you have enough stress tied to that event. We should add a countdown to it on your very public videos that you produce.
Yeah, why not?
We're not going to
I've-
forget it.
I've ended up with this nickname because Colin just doesn't call me anything else now. Like, he referred to Anthony to me as a different person the other day. Like, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's just how we're doing this now. I guess I'm just Violence to you. Sounds
That
good.
happens when you get a good nickname. People just start using it.
Yeah.
Okay, topic. We're on topic. We know how.
Yeah,
to
we're
do
on
that.
topic. So
Back to it.
Necrons, 48.1% win rate, which ain't great.
Is that the fourth highest win rate of the week?
It might be.
Like represented decently factions.
Oh Jesus! Now you're gonna make me go look at that data again, and I will. They are actually, yeah, they are right up there for represented factions. Thanks, Ennis. Thanks for that depressing statistic.
No, cool.
We're-
The fourth best army in 40k, only almost losing half as many games as it wins.
Oh no, Ennis.
Why would you even bring that up? That's so
Because
bad.
it's relevant.
No,
So
I
basically,
didn't.
Relevant.
if you're not playing one of the 3 best armies in the game, you're gonna lose at least half your games.
They're also the third
Holy
most represented
dude.
faction in 40k right now at 6%.
That'll be 4th because Space Marines are a thing.
Yeah, without stapling all the Space Marine factions together.
But they're the same faction, Nathan.
I mean, don't worry, Curie. Grey Knights are in the Space Marines faction because I see you in chat, and Grey Knights are just Space Marines with fancier armor.
So are Custodes.
It's true. We're going to staple all of them together into the Space Marine faction just to dumb down
Just to
the
hope that-
Custodes win
hope
rate.
that eventually it makes the faction win rate look reasonable.
Yeah.
Dude, that was
Oh,
some
God.
depressing use of numbers. That was violence via numbers right there. That was rough.
That was unnecessary in its butt. What I wanted to say was maybe Necrons are okay at something, and maybe that's something we can talk about in part 2.
I actually did watch a Necron player at our GT this weekend run through 2 Custode players with like 20-0 scores, which means winning by more than 51, which was hilarious to watch because it was the Silent King doing it. I'm just like, how is this happening? And then the Custodes went away, and it happened twice. And I was like, well, clearly there's something to that. So
I think there is something to it. I've seen some people pilot that 40 flayed one Silent King list into people, and there are times where a lot of armies just can't punch through 40 flayed ones. And 40 flayed ones, if you only
should
kill
punch
one,
through armies.
will interrupt and punch you right back off the table.
It turns out double fight strats are still pretty good in 40k
Especially when you have
Shocking.
like 100 some odd attacks coming out of it, right?
with exploding 6s and reroll 1s. Yeah.
And then we already talked about Mechanicus a little bit. They're still winning events. They're at a 48.4 over the month, a 46.7 over the weekend, which does mean they have a lower win rate than Necrons for the weekend. And they're at about 3.5%. So that still actually puts them at one of the most popular factions overall. So one of the things that I want to say to everybody is that Custodes and Tau have basically sucked up all of the players. So all of the factions have dropped pretty low in representation. And the drop off in the numbers is pretty harsh. So you go from Tau to Custodes to like Tyranids, and then you have Necrons, and then it drops off significantly from there down below 5%.
What's Drukhari? Just out of curiosity.
For the weekend or for the month?
The weekend. Let's use the depressing stat that we've been using so
Sure.
far.
Oh, sure. Drukhari are at 4.9%.
And what's their win rate?
Their win rate for the weekend was 55% even.
All right. That's fine.
They're still okay.
So
It's
they're
not-
still
It's not
Because
lower
the
than
only
Necrons.
people still playing them are utter diehards at this point.
that Codex still has plenty of juice. It's just it doesn't have top table juice as much anymore as it.
Still got juice. You just got to go through like a layer of scum to find it, where you have to scoop out all the data sheets that have already been nerfed twice, and then
Yeah.
you can actually play the meat.
Yeah.
Oh,
if
Nick,
you-
where are orcs? You ask. You keep
Oh.
going, Anthony, with that thought while I look for orcs.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's good data sheets in there. They just if you can't use the points in the back of the book, and you can't use the keywords that are listed in the book. But the Drukhari data sheets, besides those two things, are still pretty good for the most part.
As long as you ignore 2/3 of the things that make a unit good, yeah,
Yeah,
they're
It's keywords and it's points.
yeah, and sometimes special rules, right? Like detachment abilities, all that sort of stuff. Like, don't look at those either. And maybe they might like you too.
Yeah, they might. Those are probably also not true at this point.
Everything is a lie.
Yeah.
So
Nothing's
orcs
true.
are
Everything's permitted.
orcs are tied with Necrons for representation in the meta. So they're in fourth essentially with Necrons. They had 20 players. They had a 43.9% win rate. They didn't make any top 10s or any podiums over the weekend.
What didn't? Sorry, I completely missed that.
Orcs.
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 I mean, you would miss orcs in this. It's true.
Apparently, there was a player at my GT this weekend that was actively whying, but he was so far down the other end of the room I couldn't hear him, and I'm proud of that fact.
You couldn't hear him from the top table. You were just too
No.
high.
Literally,
So-
top player coming through. Can't hear your wah from down there, plebs.
Exactly.
Brutal.
And then I'm going to depress people even more. I'm not even going to talk about Chaos because Chaos has some of the worst numbers of any of the factions right now, other than like a few Chaos Demon suit builds and things.
There's been a few chaos lists that have done well this weekend. I actually pulled one out from Clutch City to talk about specifically. So we will give you a little bit of that little tantalizing sprinkle of real chaos. But there was a chaos list that went 5-1 and came second at Major this weekend. Don't look at the rest of your factions numbers; they'll just make you sad. Look at this guy. This guy's doing it. Why can't you?
Probably
In-
no reason.
To summarize all that fancy speak, get good scrubs is basically what
Get
it is
good scrub. This
saying.
guy can do it. Why can't you?
So now the faction v faction data, because I just want to make fun of Sisters players some more. Your numbers have gotten worse. Sorry, Sisters players. That 1 week where I was like, man, the numbers for Sisters look like there might be something there. I was wrong, and you have gotten worse week to week since then. You, in fact, now have terrible matchups into both of the top faction leaders. I'm sorry, but not really sorry, but kind of amused.
Do they have a good winner into Tyranids?
I don't even think they have a good win rate into Tyranids
Do
anymore.
they have a good winner into Drukhari or Necrons?
No, I don't think they do, Innis, as a matter of fact.
I wonder if they're just not very good.
Could be that they're just not good.
I
They even
wonder,
have
I wonder if they needed nerfs in Chapter Approved.
They're probably super good into Marines.
they are bad into Chaos Marines.
I'm
If you-
sorry, we really tried to help you, Sisters players, but I don't know, man. Eldar took your gimmick, and your armor save's not even good anymore. So I don't know what you want from us, Sisters players.
What's an armor save,
I
dude?
mean, there's something to be said when a faction only has a 17% win rate into Ultramarines.
They went second 5 times out of 6. Like that's not
that must be
impressive.
it. That's the only possible answer.
So Necrons have a reasonably good win rate into Custodes, though, as far as good factions go. So they've got a 68% win rate from this weekend into Custodes.
That's pretty good.
I'm convinced they only played 3 times and 2 of them were at this guy's event.
It's entirely possible. I mean, otherwise, when you look at the stats as a whole, they have a 44% win rate into Custodes, which is closer to a coin flip than a lot of other things are. But it does make me
they hit
think
the good
that
side of average this week across a small sample size. 68% sounds to me like 6 out of 11, something like that kind of numbers. So, yeah, it's fairly reasonable. No, 7, yeah, something like that. Seems it's not unreasonable if you have a good Necrons player playing against an average Custodes player that you get the win there, because the book definitely has the power for it.
Then we've
Depends.
got Tau are now fully favored over Custodes. They're up to 62% win rate over Custodes. That is a increase week to week
Horrifying.
again. They're up to
Horrifying number.
yeah.
So you know how the guard codex or the custodes codex does against the rest of the meta. That's what Tau does to custodes. That's what that stat is saying to you. So you know how the faction that's ruffle stomping everybody gets ruffle stomped by Tau, but somehow Tau still don't win as much because there's less players of them, and they have some other rough matchups. Sometimes they
Not
go second against
really.
they go second against things and they get rolled over. That's always fun too.
Yeah.
Tau are custodes are a problem. Tau are making the problem look weak.
Yep. Tau's really only major mad matchups in the data set are like Chaos Demons, weirdly enough.
Disciples of Be'lakor is real tough for Tau. Genuinely. It's awful into everything else, but Be'lakor to Tau, if you just get to say no rerolls to all of the Tau stuff, you actually can play the mission against them because Tau are not super heavy on OBSEC. So if you run like the 150 demons Disciple of Be'lakor list, you can beat Tau with demons. That's about it. Nothing else.
Yep.
You'll only be Tau, and you'll never play them because they'll be up the top and you won't be. But it's something.
You got to say something.
He said no rerolls is good into Tau.
Oh dang!
think-
What
I
are we
think-
gonna do?
I think we have tech for that, Nathan.
Oh dang! I think we do actually.
No. But it's everything gets no rerolls, not just one unit.
Perfect. We're ready.
We are ready for this Tau meta.
But you're not
That
gonna sit there and play light, Anthony. So your stuff's still gonna die. They'll
What
be
do you
getting hit on
mean?
twos.
My stuff's -1. It's the same thing.
it is the
They'll still be
same.
getting hit on twos.
It's a data sheet ability. My stuff is just only hittable on 4s from 12 inches away.
But you're playing light like some kind of maniac instead of dark like a good person.
I am not a nice person. I don't know where you guys got this idea.
I didn't say nice. I said good. Like you can affiliate that with nice if you want, but
I'm choosing to. I'm choosing to affiliate niceness because I can't take any other idea of it.
Yeah. Nathan doesn't want to win. He wants to make people suffer. And if they
Yep.
both happen, great. But the suffering is much more important.
the suffering is what needs to happen. The winning
Yeah.
is what will make Nathan feel good.
Yeah.
My favorite memory always in 40K is
No.
hitting people with bikes and then consolidating 16 inches away and then watching the look on their face when that used to happen in 8th edition when you did that. So you would go in, kill all of their stuff except for like maybe 1 or 2 main combat threats and then just be like, no. And then the look on somebody's face when you do that is the look that I look for when I play people with light Harlequins now.
I did
That's what I
really
want.
enjoy using Overrun this weekend. God, that strat's
Oh,
hilarious.
That's
High
strats.
Tyrant comes out from behind a wall, murders 400 points, and then goes the other way.
Yeah,
See ya.
Great. Loved it.
It's the same reason why Show Stealer Succubus are so fun to play. You pop over a wall, kill a demon prince, pop back over a wall, back into a pile of things. Now you can do it with troops and pile
Yeah.
out, shoot something with fusion pistols, charge something, and then pile back into a car because clowns don't want to partake in anything called rules. They just don't want to partake in any of it.
Yeah.
No,
I can
that seems to
confirm.
be the running theme for the best armies right now is rules are not a thing that apply to them. Custodes, what are offensive stats? Now, what are defensive stats? And Harlequins, what are game rules? Like, we break them all.
Yeah.
And
Harlequins do be.
what is rolling dice?
I will confirm for you that when my opponent tagged a bunch of my stuff in these test games, and I'm just like, oh, that doesn't matter even a little as Harlequins. Like, I see ya.
You are where I want you to be.
Yeah. Oh no.
No. Now I have to only go 16 inches instead of 22 inches.
Damn it.
I can't just take all of your objectives. Oh, wait, I just took all of
Yeah,
your
it's
objectives.
And why
already
somehow
there.
good in combat transports have beaten you to death anyway.
Dude, Dark Void Weavers are so funny. Why do they have 12 attacks for a 3-man? What is happening? They're all
I-
AP1.
I
Not as funny
love,
as support weapons, but
That is true. That is the peak.
yeah, but support weapons, I guess you could, Can you put support weapons on +2 weapon skill rerolling ones because they have the Guardian keyword in
Yes,
Oldblade?
you can.
Yes.
So you can get 21 attacks out of a triple support weapon platform hitting on 2s
You have to deploy
rerolling
them all within half an inch of each other though, so that they can all fight because they can't move in combat. But if you
Mhm.
deploy them all in a little triangle, that's not
Yeah.
a triangle. That's a triangle. Illuminati confirmed. If you deploy them like this,
They have
Very clear evidence that this is not the Next Generation podcast because they do not make triangle.
no, they
mistakes
would
over there.
absolutely have triangles down pat. Yeah, you can kick out 21 attacks from a squad of support weapons in combat for some reason. Alex House in chat. They have how many attacks? Be sure you talk about that on the next episode of Frontiers, guys. I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Mhm. That is actually it for depressing statistics for the day, anyways. I'm
Oof.
tired.
We
If
survived.
chat asks me a question about one other faction real quick, I might be able to answer it, but that's
How did
about it.
Knights do?
Knights. So knights are weird. Knights
He was too enthusiastic. I'm scared.
Knights are really bad into a lot of things. But they keep appearing in the top 10s of things randomly on weekends. Unfortunately, Knights just run into triple Storm Surge or whatever nonsense list that
I'm
Tau
you, but
decides to run
stronger.
that day. And like for some reason, so we had this discussion in a local Discord. It's like, so a Crusader is 500 points, has a 5-up invulnerable save only against ranged attacks, and has less firepower than a Storm Surge that costs 330 points, has a 4-up invulnerable save all the time, and can get full rerolls to hit on all of its weapons and ignore invulnerable saves for 2 CP.
And marker lights, so it's not even a lower ballistic skill.
Exactly.
Really. And all you trade for that is not being good in combat. But it can
Which,
fire into combat or fall back and shoot anyway, so who cares?
why even care when it's dead before it gets to you? Like
Exactly.
that
They've
whole
even got
melee
better
army,
indirect.
that whole melee army never makes it to combat. Then what does it even matter? Also, because I love making fun of Astra Militarum players, Astra Militarum or Imperial Guard, also not doing that great. Sorry, guys. One day
Astra
you'll play a
Militarum
good
did have a
faction.
top 10 this week though.
Did
Which
they
was
though?
Was
yeah,
there
it
only
was
10 players?
it was at my GT.
Oh.
A friend of mine, Gabrielle, she went 1 and 2 day 1, and then played 3 Chaos players with her Baneblade on day 2.
Easy. Just do that.
And 20-0'd every single one of them.
Just gotta get the one matchup where my best stratagem works. That would
That's
be
With a
like,
Baneblade
see, that's
against
what you have
Chaos
to
lists
do.
that can't kill a Baneblade, and then you get to win 4 games.
That's what you have to
So
do.
absolute
Craft World
power to you,
players.
Gabrielle. Well done.
Great work.
All Craft World players need to do to be good. Sorry, Colin. Is get matched into Slanesh players all day so they can get full rerolls to hit and wound.
They'd
I don't
have to
think
find
there's-
Slanesh players, but
I don't think there's 6 left.
Well, Be'lakor is a Slanesh character, so you would get full hit and rerolls there.
that is very true. And unfortunately,
we
so
got
is all
a,
of the Emperor's Children. But
We got a thing.
Gene Stealer Cole. Man, I'm gonna vamp this section a lot apparently this week. This is great. I
yeah,
love this.
people want to know the stats. We're doing the numbers this week, and it makes
Pe-
people sad, and that makes me happy. So.
People want Nathan Reed's spreadsheets to them. Apparently, that's our new show idea.
That's right. We'll make the part 3 will just be us pulling the spreadsheets up and going through them like a CGP Grey video.
Yeah. It's just you do it like Kripparrian stream, dude. You use it to fall asleep.
Should I like grab a like a fake fireplace behind me on my TV and
There
then
you go.
wear a nice like smoking jacket in my office chair and read stats to you with my glasses
Yeah.
on?
Perfect.
Nathan side chat.
All right, we'll just do this real quick. I'll look at my spreadsheet. Gene Stealer Colt won
Here we have numbers,
44
Gandalf.
44.4% of their matches this weekend. Sorry, guys.
Oh,
We were supposed to be the positive podcast, but this meta has broken something deep and fundamental to my being. 44.4% for the weekend. And if I pull up the data for the whole time, this is because Innis stopped playing Gene.
Yeah,
Stealer
me and
Cult.
Nick didn't play Gene Stealer Cult this weekend, so they didn't have a positive win rate.
for the whole month, basically, they are at a 49.4, so just south of positive win rate.
Anthony, can you pull up Mike's comment on the screen real quick?
No, that stays down there.
Oh, okay. No. I want to say that it still feels really bad, even when you're
Oh,
me.
okay. I
It
guess
does
that's
not
fair.
help. You
Yeah.
still lose all your stuff in one turn. Uh,
Yeah, that's fair.
It's still really unpleasant.
Oh no, we got one more.
What about Death Guard? Death Guard aren't a
Oh.
real faction. Someone's lying to you.
So for the
Dude, they
month,
have that
because
Space Marine piece.
let's take a look. Pardon me. Death Guard. Where'd my glasses? There we go.
We are going to wrap up the stats section after this one, and we're going to jump
Yeah.
into the top fours of the top ones of the week.
We are at 37.1% for the whole month. Oop, that is the wrong date selection, Nathan. You can't go into the future.
Well, why not? That'll make our stats job real easy.
And 31.7% for the week end. So
you know,
I
they're winning like
know you all,
7 in 20 games.
there are
That's Nurgle's
several.
secret number.
So I do have some below 20% win factions for the weekend. This is where we'll end the day. Is with me telling you what factions are below 20% win rates. Not the ones that didn't play because they have 0%. But Eldari have a 14.3.
That one's not going to go up much.
Asuryani is 16.7. Imperial Fists are at 20%. And then somehow, despite Sisters only winning 17% of their games into them, Ultramarines are at a 27.3% win rate for the weekend.
That's what happens
Boy.
when Lennon abandons you.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Just leaves you on the side like a broken toy.
And I'm sorry,
Okay.
Astra Militarum aren't even the worst faction. There's more Marines and then Astra Militarum.
Hmm.
It's really, in fact, a lot of Marines in the
It's a really bad time to be Space Marines.
It is.
Yeah.
It really
Okay.
kind of is.
So, and on that bombshell, Space Marines are bad. Who'd have guessed? We are going to move on
Shocking.
to the top four, to the top ones of the weekend. We are going to go through the number one lists from the 6 GTs of the weekend. That is specifically the Clutch City, Battle Ready, Dice Hammer, OPG, War of the Roses, and Norse Hammer. It's not on that list. It did not hit 28 players in 5 rounds, and we will not be covering it. We will try to go through the top fours for these as well, just because we only have 6 events this weekend. We'll go through like who the player was and what they played, not go through the lists. We've pulled out a couple of specific lists as well that weren't the top ones, specifically the second place list, which was Mixed Chaos from Clutch City. And I want to touch on the 4th place list from OPGGT, which was the one I was at, which was an AdMech list, which I think will be really cool to dive into as well. So let's get started. Shall we do Clutch City? We're going to go in size order because size matters. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. ITC points are very, very real. Okay.
True.
So Clutch City was won by Kit Smith Hanna and his or her. I'm going to go with his because it's 40k. Tyranids list.
Safe bet, generally.
Safe bet generally, yeah. Which is a Crusher Stampede is running all the standard stuff. My notes for it here I have that it leans heavier on the smaller bugs, so we're running 1 Democleron and 1 Scythe Theodule instead of we've seen a lot of lists that are like 3 barbed and 3 scythed, or like 2 Demas, 3 Demas. They've all been fairly popular. This list goes a lot lower to the ground on that, just 1 of each of the big guys, and then running a Haruspex with Murderous Size, which gives him +1 damage on his sweep attack. And then every time he kills something with a super attack, he gets an attack with his big attack. With the plus D3 attack strategy, psychic power, and the reroll hit psychic power, that gets in a hand real quick for 155 points. Very impressive piece of tech, and I'm quite enjoying seeing it. And then also the Tyrannifex and the Exocrine both have shooting options, which both came down 15 points. All 3 of those came down 15 points, chapter approved. This list also has no Hive Guard. So absolute props to Kit Smith Hanna, who won a 6-round major in the US with no Hive Guard and only 2 big things. Also double Tyrant and the Swarm Lord and a bunch of warriors. Props to you. This is a super interesting Crusher Stampede list, probably the most unique of the weekend.
Yep. That is definitely the Tyrannifex is definitely some tech that a good friend of mine is gonna be shouting in my ears about later.
Yeah, the
That also-
Tyrannifex specifically is 4d6 shots at 7/1d3. They can become d3 plus 1 for 2 CP.
Yep.
And it has to stay stationary for that. If it moves, it gets 2d6. And they auto hit.
Yep.
It's pretty nasty. Also, toughness 8, 2 up save, stands in the middle, does a good job.
Shout out to
Big
our
fan.
mutual crazy Australian friend who really loves that thing.
I'm not shouting Blake out.
I just gave him the quiet shout out. You got his name out there, so
What was that name? I didn't quite hear that shout out. It was
You
real
don't
No, me
know.
neither.
Into the distance he goes.
Exactly.
The second place list was Georg Bobkov playing Chaos, and I love this list, so I'm going to go through it just more in full. So it's a Master of Executions with the extra mortal wounds whenever you hit rolls a 6 to wound, and a Sorcerer, 3 squads of Cultists, a squad of Chosen with 3 Thunderhammers and a bunch of Lightning Claws, a Dreadclaw Drop Pod, 2 squads of 8 Warp Talons, a Havoc squad with 1 missile launcher for access to the flak missile stratagem. Perfect tech, big fan. And 3 Reaper chain cannons. And then a mixed Nurgle detachment with a Poxbringer and the Taliman for some CPU regeneration, and newly cheapened Plagueburst Crawlers with entropy cannons. And then a Chaos Undivided attachment with a Herald of Slaanesh, a Herald of Slaanesh on Chariot, which is an interesting choice. 2 Nurgling Swarms and a squad of Nurgle Marked Furies. And this list went 5-1. Went
What
through some
a hero.
right. That's all I was thinking when I was going through it. I was like, "This must be running a Herald of Slaanesh on Secret Chariot for the advanced charge bubble, something like that." No, just running a Herald of Slaanesh on Secret Chariot for the sheer banter of it,
Yeah,
which
the
I am incredibly proud of.
powerful warp ritual synergy.
Yeah, good big base for getting places. Very fast for Warp Ritual, Pierce the Veil, and a couple of missions where that is a relevant option.
Yep.
6 attacks in combat as opposed to the standard 4. Yeah, big fan. And then I love the little Nurgle attachment with the Plagueburst Trawlers, which are
Right.
remain to be incredible, phenomenally
Yeah,
sort of
those
very
bricks went
consistent
down.
over the entire time they've existed. I
Yeah.
don't think Plagueburst Trawlers have ever been a bad unit. And then a very, very, very violent for the points Emperor's Children attachment, where you get the Dreadclaw Drop Pod, which can take the squad of Chosen and the squad of Chain Cannon Havocs. Chain Cannon Havocs ignore the move and fire penalty, don't mind coming down out of that drop pod too much. Get to drop in and just do loads of damage with 1,000,000 CP. Hit the charge with Honor the Prince on those Chosen. Even through like the Tau -1 to charge stratagem, it's still something like 80 out of 81 to make that charge, even though you got to roll a 1-5
Oh,
on those
yeah,
4 dice. So you can actually fairly reasonably hit a charge with this squad.
Yep.
Lighten them up with some good old flak missiles on the way in, which is phenomenal. I'm so proud of that. Yeah, massive props to George for running it with a really cool list as a bunch of options for secondaries, like Nurglings, it's got Furies, it's got Psychic Interrogation, or Warp Ritual options, all the good stuff, and then Plagueburst Crawlers to just sit at the back and be a pain in the backside. I'm also willing to bet, without counting, that if I go into that, those Plagueburst Crawlers are to the lasts.
100%.
Because there was nothing in that list that sounded expensive. No standard like big Terminator break that you
Yeah,
normally see in that kind of list.
That is a powerful build around decision made there.
Yeah, you probably keep them safe from SMS and AFPs not being able to wound them in the back line.
And they're not
essentially.
that bad. Like AFPs are not super consistent at killing them without like through Boldness Victory or something like that to give them
Yeah.
auto wounds. The next 3 players at this tournament at 5-0 are all Custodes list.
I can go through them then because I'm just kidding.
No. So we have Nathaniel Bjorg with
Mercy.
their Sagittarium list that we covered on last week's episode. This is the
Mhm.
Emissaries Imperialis Sagittarium list, who did unfortunately bump into Kahana, and I could not imagine a worse matchup to be the Sagittarium player for. That is real
It's not
rough.
great.
I believe he lost like 97-16, something like
Yeah,
that.
I think it was 17, but yeah, it was bad. This is bad times.
This is not a great place to be. Robert Moreland, also on Custodes, rounded out the top 4 with a much more traditional Emperor's Chosen. Or
That is
also an
a-
Emissaries build, but like 9 bikes and Sagittarium and some Dreadnought, all the boring stuff.
That's a good example of a reroll right there. Robert Moreland was at the high placings of the guard run for the ITC last season. He was like first or second or something like that, and man has had enough.
I fully cannot say I blame anybody for abandoning guard right now.
Nope, not at all. You should
Nope.
always play the army you want to. Do not be shamed by others into playing something you don't want to play.
Unless you really want an ITC contestant faction, in which case you should suffer for your
Yeah,
Freedom.
hubris. That's the word I'm
There's
looking for.
there's no inherent virtue gained from being a mono faction player.
No,
Yep.
Don't let
if
don't let
it makes you happy-
anybody be mean to you or bully you into being a monofaction player either. Play as
Yep.
many armies as you want, chase as many metas as you want, as long as you have the time, money, and sanity for it.
and willingness to get mocked on this show.
Yeah, we'll make fun of you if you're like the 30th Emperor's Chosen Custodes list that we have to talk through.
I always enjoy
We
when
just won't.
Toonhammer breaks. That's my favorite thing. Why is this list interesting? It's not. That's
Yeah.
the happiest. That's when you know a meta's gone.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's where I was kind of at when I was looking at our notes and I looked at the Battle Ready GT event and I was just like, no, not like
Oh,
this.
Wait.
That's a wonderful segment. Let's talk about the Battle Ready 40k Major Mayhem.
Uh,
Oh, it's like we planned it.
so good.
not off the cuff at all, I swear.
Okay, so the top four at this event were Seth Piper with Adeptus Custodes and Will Taylor with Tau Empire as our two undefeateds, and then Gabriel R with Adeptus Custodes. I'm sorry, Gabriel, I'm not going to butcher that name on live on stream. And then Joseph Alcorn also on Tau. And then so that gives us 2 Custodes and 2 Tau as our top four. This one. Shall we start with Seth Piper's list?
We did get
Sure.
a Seth in the top 4, which is cool.
Well, at least there's one good Seth in 40k.
Yeah. Just one. There can only be one, in fact. Seth Piper's list was pretty much just golden stuff. We've got an Emperor's Chosen list with Praetorian plate. And we've got a small squad of Venatari. And then the most interesting part of this list, actually, to me, is the Venatari and then the Telemon, which are two things that we haven't seen in as many lists recently. A lot of people are just going with pretty standard golden good stuff lists where you only have bikes and you only have footstodes and then Trajan and maybe a bike captain. But this person decided to bring the Praetorian plate character, and then he decided to bring a small squad of Venatari and a Telemon. And Telemons are still good. They're not as good if you run into a Barkhan list that two-shots him, but still good.
There's also,
Telemons
for
will-
some reason, still in leadership 8, so Tormentors is really bad for them.
Yeah.
Telemons will punch your lights out in the mirror, though. If you run into a Telemon, that man puts a beating on your dudes.
They are only damage 4, unfortunately, which is
Yeah,
like exactly the wrong number to be for
It-
custom bike killing. But
It flatlines wardens and kills their other dreadnoughts pretty good. Like they're scary boys.
It's perfect for punching battlesuits to death as well in combat if you can get it there.
because
that means
don't ever
each-
not have a feel no pain. Don't lie to yourself.
I mean, outside of the one Feel No Pain from the Triggerable Relic, the prototype
The-
system,
The,
Do they have another
the
one?
ethereal litany that goes on with 2+ every turn.
there you go. I was like, wait, where is this other? Oh, yeah, of course they have
Not every list
chaplains.
takes that, but yeah, that is pretty.
Every
common.
list should.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
powerful.
every
It's
list,
just
including
annoying.
Farsight lists, apparently.
There's
take it.
65 points, guys.
You get a CP a turn on the upside as well.
We're going to talk about a pet peeve real quick before we talk about that. Is that Farsight allied worlds should not get ethereals. If you're allied with Farsight, you shouldn't get one.
I think they should get 2, and they should get a webway gate so they can tape them together.
I think
I
prefer
will
to think-
find you, Anthony.
for the time being, I've been thinking of Farsight allied worlds not as worlds that are like part of Farsight but not attached to them. I've been thinking of them more as like American weeboos who like sit and watch Farsight have like Farsight posts on the wall. Like we worship Farsight, but they're not actually in any way associated.
Ugh, awful. They're
I
just people
suppose-
that used to play other factions and now they play Farsight, and they're like, I guess I don't know. This is what we got, man.
Oh, you mean like the other Seth? He's playing
Which
it
other
now.
Seth? I don't know another Seth.
Oh, that's true. We should just keep going.
Yeah. Anyway, carrying
Okay.
on.
Let's quickly touch on Will Taylor's list. This is a Farsight Enclave's allied world with an ethereal. This list has 2 big blocks of crisis suits and 3 broadsides and some other stuff that I don't care about.
Yay.
He's not running any indirect except on the broadside, which have 24 indirect shots.
Oh.
You know, it's
There was a
only
half
like
second there where I was like, what?
it's only like 3 Thunderfire cannons a turn.
Oh man.
You remember Thunderfire cannons? Broadsides are better and cheaper and also have a railgun.
I actually don't remember Thunderfire cannons because they
I'm talking
predate.
to the royal you here, Anthony. I know you don't remember anything before 2020.
Yep, true.
Okay, that is the Battle Ready 40k Major Mayhem because having 5 words in your title means it's a cool tournament. Next up, we have, I believe, Dice Hammer.
Yep.
As I search PCP quickly, totally prepared. This was another USA event. We actually if we have the numbers on player counts for this one. So Clutch City was 98 players in 6 rounds, and Battle Ready was 56 players in 5 rounds, so just missing that cut for Major. Dice Hammer is a USA event with 52 players in 5 rounds, and was won by Jeff Jew, who I believe is one of the Riot Games guys. He's the lead on Legends of Runeterra, the card game, I think.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
So yeah, power to him. Jeff Jew playing Crusher Stampede. This is
Hell
a
yeah.
this is a more standard template Crusher Stampede list. We're looking at the double Hive Tyrant and the Swarm Lord, and then 4 squads of warriors. So it's taking that 1 extra little squad of scoring, 1 squad of Hive Guard, 1 Maliceptor, 2 Scythe Theodulls, and a Harpy. So no Demon Charon is probably the most notable thing I would say here. It doesn't have that turn 1 mega fast pressure, but it does have
Right.
double Tyrant, so you can definitely get away without running that. The Demon Charon is very hard to hide. I've noticed on a lot of US boards, you don't really get the like the 9x5s you get on WTC where you can hide one.
No, it's very
So
different.
understandable that if you are trying to play for Tau, the hero rules have a much lower profile and can actually hide behind like a sort of a 5-inch rune they can definitely get under. And then
think-
Harpies are just so cool. I love
Even then, it's rough, man. Like on US terrain to hide the small dudes. But yeah, it beats the brakes off trying to hide a Dema.
Oh,
The Demas are
Scythe Theodulls, low key, not that bad from Strategic Reserve with the redeploy for Tyranids.
Yeah.
I've been doing that a decent amount because they come in and they actually flame stuff, whereas the Demon Charon comes in and fails on its charge. So
yeah, yeah, he does. You could hear me out. I played against the guy that did this. You could put some weird warrior gun on your dudes and then use a strat, I think, that gives you a 3d6 charge or something. That was what he
could.
told me.
That's why I have the guns on my Hive Tyrants. I never use the strat.
Yeah, I was told that was a thing, and I was like,
It's a thing you can
what?
do, but unfortunately, I'm always charging characters that I couldn't shoot because they were bodyguarded. So
Oh, everything
not
about that sentence. Killing them on the charge with mortal wounds that you do through stupid crusher nonsense as well. Just like everything about that sentence is terrible, and I hate it.
So Jeff went 5-1. There was no undefeated player at this tournament. It was done on battle points as tiebreaker. So Jeff ended up in first place. Second place was Joel Wilson on Tau. Farsight Enclaves, actual Farsight Enclaves with Farsight as the warlord and double
Nice.
Riptide. Okay, I'm going to at least give you some props for that. And triple broadsides with fusion blasters.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I think he's just got his built with fusion blasters, but it's good to know you can still win your Crusade army. I'm so sorry, Joel. I have no idea if you planned that. I just really had to get the cheap shot in there.
Is it a cheap shot if it's true? If it's true, is it a cheap shot?
I don't know, but I think I broke Anthony.
Not okay. You can still win with your Crusade army, should have been the title of the episode.
We're changing the title of the episode, NS. It's now you can win with your Crusade army.
Jesus.
Look, if I could arm one of my freaking autarchs with that weapon that kills people and then they can't be played in the next game on a
What about
1,
if
2,
you
or
could
3?
load out one of your autarchs like they were on the Codex cover art?
You can with the relic, the wing relic.
Nice, dude. Hell yeah.
I'm ready for you, Innes. Tell me all about this illegal bit. No, I'm just kidding.
Let me just use the loadout that came in the Eldritch Omens box where the warp spinner weapon still auto hits.
Yes, actually, that would be great if they had never corrected that in playtesting.
Yeah,
Like
I'd like that not to happen. The remainder of the top 4 for the Dice Hammer Open was Logan Heath on Tau Empire, Tau Sept with Long Strike and Triple Hammerhead. It's not the first time you're going to hear Triple Hammerhead this calf. We'll put that one in. Put that one in early. 9 broadsides, 3 hammerheads, and Long Strike.
Excellent.
That guy doesn't like in-laws.
Real balanced hours that there is, and Bodyguard, of course, because why wouldn't Long Strike get Bodyguard?
Yeah.
And then Nick Uria with Thousand Suns pulling up a wonderful 30 Scarabacle Terminator list. Which I'm just so proud of. 30 Scarabacle Terminators is a flex on the meta as a whole. That I'm super impressed with.
Thousand Suns might not be terrible. Maybe.
They're probably not terrible, but they're definitely chaos.
There was one fringe event with just 23 players that they did win.
Oh, good. It's nice to see that they can still win, the minors.
Man, Innes is just dunking on everything.
Yeah.
That one's safe.
It's not a great meta right now, guys. I'm sorry.
The week he goes actually undefeated, he decides it's time to flame people. He actually won all his games this week. Watch out, world.
Is this time for us to transition to talking about the OPG GT in Scotland with 47 players in
sure
6 rounds
is, and
with
WTC scoring.
WTC scoring? So when I looked at it the first time, I got really confused. It's like, man, why is Scotland so bad at scoring and just 40k generally? I
They
mean,
just
and
don't score points.
Yeah, no, it's definitely only the second one, not the first one.
it's really just 46 sheep and then Innis. It's
Yeah.
him in a flock.
It's what it felt like.
Jesus. Innis. Man,
That's your team
so
captain, everybody.
in
That's
case
what
you
he
were
thinks of you all.
wondering, Innis is yes, Curie. I too hate that we have to record those events because we adjust them based on an estimate.
Oh, that's terrible.
We give you the exact. You can get the exact scores if you click on the results on every individual page.
Yeah, we're not doing that, Innis.
Hey, look, you get the numbers, whether you choose to use them or not. It's up to
Oh
you.
man.
Not everybody entered all their numbers, unless some people did. Some people did good.
I think
Some people
most
did
people
not.
did, and anybody who didn't got the scores for the games wrong because they would have all calculated it based on those
I'm not
numbers instead.
I'm not saying that everybody did it right or well. Most people do it wrong. Yep, Kiri will say because we both looked at them. Not all of them were entered, so we had to go in and make estimates
Well,
again.
I'm going to make one of you read my list because it's funnier to me. So whichever one of you gets to BCP first can read it.
Nathan, it's all you, bro.
You want me to read it? I didn't even have BCP open, but I'll open it for you.
Curie did click on every match in my event. So Curie
Well-
is one of our wonderful backfield stats guys. We do love the work he does for us. Mostly
We'll
in
even get him on the
association with
show.
Nathan. I've spoken to him like once.
I
Look,
talk
there
with
he is.
Curie
It's like he's here
every
with us.
single Sunday. Every Sunday, me and Curie go, Nathan, the meta's in terrible shape still. And then we go, oh, great. I wonder what it will be
Look,
like.
good. Everything's still on fire. Good.
Exactly. Oh, look, OPG GT 2022, Innis Wilson. Actually, we're going to skip Innis and just go right to Brian C. No, I'm just
We should do that. He's come second to every GT he's played so far this season, so it'll make him happy.
Right. So
What a
this is
hero.
actually, I will talk about this. So Innis, here to win events and lose games, Wilson. From Team Scotland, which is like calling an ATM machine an ATM machine. Brought our Crusher Stampede list with that gives 16 bring it down points, 10 assassination, and 9 abhor. I actually love this format because it's really easy to read lists when somebody gives them to you. So it actually makes the process of choosing secondaries against lists a lot easier. So if everybody could just pick up the WTC format for lists, I would love them dearly for it because it's really cool.
Me too. If I never had to read a Battlescribe list again, it would be too soon.
And what I will say is that this list is very easy to read. It's got 2 Harpies, a Scythe Hierodule, 1 Dimacharon, 6 Hive Guard with, of course, the Ignorer line of sight gun, 3x3
They're on
Tyranid.
shock cannons?
No, not
Shocking,
shock
I
cannon.
know.
I know. The Swarm Lord with the Onslaught and Catalyst. 2 Hive Tyrants. This is actually kind of neat. This is a total of 3 Hive Tyrants if you count the Swarm Lord as a Hive Tyrant, which really you should because he is basically just a fancy Hive Tyrant. Usually you see somebody take like a Neurothrope or something else in their 3rd slot to do stuff.
No,
But
3
Innis
Hive
is-
Tyrants has become real popular recently. I think all 3 lists this weekend were all triple Tyrant. The
nice.
second one with like the -1 to wound is really good at doing psychic interrogation for you.
Man,
and
I
he
hate trying
really
to kill
needs
that guy.
Yeah,
It
he's real
super
hard to kill.
sucks.
I had
Yeah.
like Tau armies bounce off him for a turn. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's not fun trying to kill that guy. Even with poison, it was annoying.
Yeah, and then the Murder Tyrant is just probably the highest damage output we have right now. We just replaced a Democaron with him because he moves faster and is a Psyker.
And that's
which
because of
are-
this.
and is cheaper. So
That's the Synaptic Blades, essentially, right? Which
yeah, so you end up with
vulnerable
5 plus D3 plus an additional D3 if you hit the psychic power. Attacks at strength 7, -3, damage 4, damage 5 on 6s to wound. Rerolls wounds for a CP. Gets exploding 6s for a CP.
Strength 7's
Fights.
a little sad.
I actually kind of love this
It's the
list
best you can get.
because I love Harpies. Harpies are amazing.
Yeah, so I've
They're-
told this story before, but the second the Crusher Stampede rules leaked in one of my group chats, I bought 2 Harpies and then started writing an article about them. And this is the first time I finally got to use them at a tournament, like 4 months later.
So if
But
you
I
can't,
was on the pulse with Harpies the second they do everything. They drop spores to move block. They have reasonable shooting once you like actually fly them about places. They move 30 inches and still charge, and they have a fight last aura when they charge. What's not to love for 155 points? I
You get
absolutely
that
adore them.
headbutt in there too. Just poof.
Oh yeah, yeah. No. Grinding moment for headbutts this weekend was charging a High Commander with the 7 wound hive tyrant and doing 1 mortal wound to it, and then taking 2 of my 4 successful wounds to kill the shield drone, and then one go, and then him failing both the saves and killing a shield drone in the squad over, so he lived. Uh, I was so
Oh,
upset.
yeah.
Gross. I do love those things though. The model's kind of ugly, but the model
I
data
kinda
sheet
like
is
the
great.
Harpy model. It has the appeal of a it's like the Tyranid version of the Storm Raven, where it is just a potato with wings, but it
Yeah.
does it much better.
But it's your potato, so
It's
you
your
love it.
potato. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And
It's
frankly, if you live the life of a Crusher Stampede player, what you do is you take your brain and you remove it from your head for the next 5 or 6 games, and you install a USB that just has the Wii channel music on it. Ba 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 ba. That one, and you just
Mhm.
have that on repeat for the entire 18 hours you're playing Crusher Stampede. You'll never lose a game. It worked for me.
Hmm.
Guaranteed.
Hmm.
No thought required.
We'll
No
keep that in
thought.
mind. Maybe I'll do the next
Well,
one as Crusher.
Okay, that was mine. I had a really good event with this one. I will touch on it
Ah!
quickly. We've lost Nathan.
Nathan.
We're gonna devolve very quickly into far too complicated talking about 40K now. This was really cool. I really enjoyed playing it. I'm gonna touch on it a little bit longer just because it was my event and it'll save me talking about it much more later. I had a really good run with this. I went first in both my time matchups, which really helped. My first game against AJ, I killed like 5 crises and stopped the other one shooting on turn 1. Great combo. The other game, Brian ended up deploying really defensively just to get a range of my stuff in conversion, which is the new mission where you get points every turn for holding objectives in the center, which meant Brian didn't score primary until turn 4 because I kept putting things on his home objective with OBSEC and saying, no, you don't get to hold that. He was actually net neg 1 primary at the start because he had lost 1 for not holding his home objective 1 turn until turn 4. And that was a big part of why I won that game. Brian definitely had a really good shot at winning that game, but played very safe. My other games were not particularly close. Shadowkeepers, Custodes gave me a rough run, but some really again, people just play really safe against Crusher Stampede when they should probably accept a little more risk, and they deploy too far back. And then I use the insane amount of ability I have to not do anything turn 1, and then make them come to me, and then you win games that way too.
Yep.
Yeah, really fun list. I ended up scoring 116 points in WTC, which for anybody who's not 100% on the WTC scoring, after the first 5, every 5 points increment you win by is 1 tournament point. So to get a 12-8 win, you have to win by somewhere between 11 and 15 points, and blah blah, and so on and so forth. Capping at 20 gets you 51. So 51 points or more gets you a 20 win in the system. I won 5 games by more than 51 points. 1 game set them by 35 for 116 tournament points. It was brutal. The list just went through Necrons, went through Mechanicus Defense Cohort, went through Guard because I went first, and that was scary if I didn't. And then I had Shadowkeepers and 2 Tau lists. So I went through a decent murderers roll of like the good meta list at the moment. No Drakari, but they're not real, and no Mirror Match was the only things I didn't play. List's super fun. You should definitely play Crusher if you can. If you're playing turns right now and you're not playing Crusher, and you're not playing like Forces of the Hive Mind, you should be playing Crusher. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, Crusher seems like where it's at. It's what I would be playing if I wasn't in on the clown train. If I hadn't just bought clowns and found out they were good, I would be playing Crusher right now.
Yeah, entirely reasonable. The rest of the top 4, or sorry, Nathan, please.
oh no, I said samesies. I would be playing Crusher, but also I'm back because GW can't keep this man down. I guess.
Yeah.
Or I can't accidentally hit the wrong button and shut down my stream. Number 2 was Brian, who played Tau Empire. Let's see, what kind of Tau Empire did Brian
It's
play?
your favorite. It's Farsight Enclave's Allied Worlds.
Better not. Brian Pew Pew say. I'm going to mispronounce his last name.
He's also
That just
American
sounds
and
gonna work.
potentially going to Adepticon, so that'll be really cool to see. He's been
God
crushing it in the UK
damn it.
recently.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about Farsight Allied Worlds real quick while I've got this remembered. So we actually track custom sets. So a lot of people are playing Farsight Enclave's Allied Worlds, and they have the highest win rate of all of the sub factions that you can play as Tau at 73.6% win rate. Brian bought a pretty
It's
standard.
gonna be sick.
I'm gonna leave you with a 74% win rate and then just move on to something else. Let you all marinate on that while I talk about this list badly. So he's got a commander in a crisis battle suit, pretty standard loadout, except for the DW02 advanced burst cannon, which is something I think you'll
Ignore
start seeing
Philoppanes.
more of
Yeah.
because it ignores
damage gates.
Philoppanes and damage gates. So if Phoenix Lords start popping onto the scene a lot, you'll probably see more people take DWO2 cannons because 6 wound Phoenix Lords like Baharoth, who people are going to play cheekily and put them at the back of your line and stuff like that. And if they ever don't get away, you can just shoot them with that cannon and probably kill them.
Yeah, you deal like the first set of damage to them with your regular guns, and then DW2 goes at the end and goes straight
Yep.
through that damage cap. It is nasty. I played against he played against Catan at one point, I believe, and just go away now.
Mhm. Then you've
Yeah.
got an ethereal, which pretty standard. You have the feel no pain, wisdom of the guides, which is all pretty standard stuff. Wisdom of the guides is CP regeneration. With through boldness victory, which isn't just another buff that you can give them if you want.
It's 6s to hit auto wound for a core unit.
Yep. And then Kroot Carnivores, 2 units of 4 Kroot Hounds, basically just board presence units. 3 Crisis Bodyguards, inevitably to follow characters around and try to keep them safe because those ethereals are quite squishy. If you can't keep them
They're
bubble wrapped.
actually a secondary drop zone clear unit for cheap.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's actually even better.
Yeah, because you can
Oh,
use
because
them
it's just
for like
what is it? It's just 1 or 2 CP then for that one?
It's 2 CP for them on the small unit, I believe.
Yeah, it's 2 for the
3
smaller
CP
unit.
for the big ones.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're like the turn 1. If you don't have really great options off the homing beacon, you can drop them in and still pick up something reasonable that they're punching above their weight, but without investing your big squad that you still have for the turn 2 hit.
Yep.
And we've got 2 units of 5 crisis suits, 1 unit of broadsides, some Vespids, which are 6 of them, so they can do things like rod if you need them to. Fruit carnivores again, so you have some screens if you need them, or you can forward deploy and try to take some stuff. Kind of your choice. Broadsides with rail rifles, you can pick up heavy targets if you need to. 2x5 crisis battle suits, 1 unit with 10 airburst fragmentation projectors, which is real good. That's
5
a lot of
numbers,
shots.
Yep.
And then 5 more with cyclic ion plasma rifles and stim injectors on that one. So that's the triggerable feel no pain.
Yep.
Yeah, that
that's
one's super
the
strong.
super tank unit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nasty.
that guy
They
holds
do
up well.
like 25 damage to kill for that single guy.
Yeah, he's a hard man.
Yep. Third place, we had Aaron Young, who was playing Tau Sept, Shadow Sun, Commander and Enforcer Battlesuit with all the standard stuff there. Nova Surge Plasma Rifle, which ignores invols, nasty little piece of work. Ethereal with Sense of Stone and Wisdom of the Guides. Strike Team, 2 big Crisis squads with Airburst, Plasma, and Plasma, and then one of them has Cyclic Ions and one of them has Flamers, and then a smaller squad with Airburst and Plasma and Target Locks. And then Enva for a second Ethereal, which I think is hilarious.
Powerful.
Long Strike.
You can string out Bodyguard with him too, though, right? Like really
Yes.
far distances due to his
Oh, yeah.
2 accomplices. So
You
it's
also
like
get the -1 to hit litany, which is pretty decent for like the mirror match because not everything can be ignoring it modifiers all the time. We have a strike team. We have a Ghost Keel. I think I mentioned Long Strike already. A squad of stealth battle suits, a Pathfinder team, and a big squad of broadsides with SMS and ATS and rail rifles.
Yep.
Yeah, this went 5-1. The only loss was to Brian.
Pretty good.
Shockingly, right?
Tau good.
Yeah,
Who
Tau
knew?
powerful.
And then the 4th place list was Gavin Heritage on Cult Mechanicus. This is the list that came 3rd at Voidhammer, the GT I was at 2 weeks ago. This is a Lucius defense cohort list, which I think is hilarious. I love this list. Been doing really well. We riffed it off of the Australians and then modified it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's been doing
Played
really well
against
for
that
us.
at LVO.
Yeah, I think we're 9-2 with it now, with 1 loss to Crusher and 1 loss to Tau, which you'd take.
Yep.
Yeah. there you go.
So it's Lucius. We have got a Dominus, a Techno-Archaeologist, 5 squads of Cataphon Breachers with arc rifles, 3 squads of Corpuscari, 2 Data Smiths, 1 with the Solar Flare, and 1 with the Fight Last Relic, and then 2 squads of 5 Castle robots. Each squad has 1 with like the double guns and fist, and then 3 with double fist and flamer, and 1 squad of servitors for standing on objectives. This list is
Nice.
hilariously fast. It just dumps that squad of Castle robots on your face turn 1 and says, I'm going to do a 3d6 charge, drop the lowest with a reroll, and then I'm going to hit you with like a million strength 10 -3 damage attacks. And if you can't deal with that, I'm going to win the game.
Those
and
boys
it's second
clobber
squad.
you. It hurts so bad.
Yeah, I was super impressed with this. This is really fun. Everything gets OBSEC as well from Cacophonous Leadership. It's real cool. Really, really interesting list. It
Yeah.
rips through vehicles like no tomorrow with those arc rifles as well.
Oh, it's
Going
it's
flat
so
3
bad.
damage.
Yeah.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Speaking
had
of
the
bad,
unfortunate of going first in Tide of Conviction against me, so I got to do all the endgame stuff as well. And they, as much as they hit really hard, they charged the side hurdle and only mostly killed it. So
Speaking of bad men in the meta, are we going to talk about Manny Chima next at
oh no,
War of
I
the
was just gonna
Roses?
say, speaking of bad, someone noted
Oh.
that Scotland's meta is soft. The only thing that's softer than that actually is the Midwest in the US, though. Anyway, carrying on.
Ow. Ow. That's just mean.
I actually had heard that Salamanders players specifically are the softest players in or people who used to play Salamanders specifically are the softest
Yeah,
players in any meta they live in.
truth.
I mean, you're not wrong. Chicago's kind of soft, and Chicago's the capital of the Midwest, so it means everything.
I'm pretty sure it's the only place in the Midwest I've heard of. So anywhere else,
Yeah,
just
that
doesn't
sounds about
exist,
right.
right?
The rest of it's
That's
just
fair.
corn, isn't it?
Like it's in the mid. It's very mid, and it's kind of to the west.
Yeah, it's to the west
Yeah.
of the important stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, of course, the East Coaster is very up on his self-importance.
And I'm far more east than Anthony is, right? So
He's
What's
not
that?
wrong. He's not wrong, but still, it's very stereotypical.
East Coast, West Coast is fine, just not the Midwest.
The West Coast is very chill about it. The East Coast, not so much.
No, we know what's up.
okay, next up we have War of the Roses, which was in England. This was a 34-player, 5-round WTCGT, which was run as a Team England fundraiser. And this was run by Manny Chima's Adeptus Mechanicus Skitarii, which was not veteran cohort, which I think is hilarious because I'll tell you why it's not veteran cohort in just a second. So this is a Mars Battalion detachment. We've got a Skitarii Marshal with programmed retreat and examples of eternity, Tempest Manipulus, 3 squads of Skitarii Rangers, 2 more 5s, those are 20s, 2 5s, 2 big squads of Skitarii Infiltrators, and 8 of Infiltrators and a 9 of Rostalkers, sorry, 3 single Iron Strider Ballistari with las cannons, and 2 Stratoraptors and a Dune Rider. And then the entire reason that it's not a veteran cohort, one is because there's 80 Skitarii in this list, or 70 Skitarii in this list, and doesn't have 140 to spend on upgrading them, and 2, because Psychic Interrogation is just that good, it's got an Inquisitor.
Yep,
Mhm.
it's so
With
strong.
Terrify for ignoring Overwatch as well for those Infiltrator Rostalker squads.
Yeah, you pick some random spell that makes you feel better about the fact that you're taking it for Psychic Interrogation.
And then you cast Psychic Interrogation 5 times the game and hope for the best.
Yep,
Terrify is not a terrible spell either if you just need to use something randomly.
it's
No,
fine.
it's absolutely not.
Yeah,
So yeah, Manny went 5-0. He did have some super close games on the way there, I believe.
He went 11 and then 2 20s and then a 13 and a 15.
Yeah, he had an 11-9 against Custodes, 20-0 Gene Stealer Cults, 20-0 a Thousand Suns list. I'm shocked, truly. And then had really close games against Necrons and Necrons. His last two games were Necrons, which were both pretty close.
Necrons just be doing it to people, man.
Yeah, well, Matt Robertson of the British
Oh.
team, English team was playing them this weekend as well. And
That
Matt
makes
is a very, very competent player. I think he's an Adepticon as well. That sounds like something that's right.
That's a name I've
Um,
heard just a whole bunch. Like I've never met him or
Mhm.
anything, but I've heard his name just left, right, and center.
Yeah, Matt ended up tied third, so we will cover his list in just a second.
Cool.
So yeah, that was Manny's list. As we mentioned in the show earlier, I think people gave up on Admech way too soon. That list has
Yeah.
so much power. Stratoraptors didn't become bad when they went up 20 points.
But they're still super scary. Like getting shot by them sucks big time.
Yeah, I think it's just if that one mistake can just run your list into the dirt really fast. Like, and it's really easy to make mistakes when your command phase is 30 minutes long.
Doesn't
yeah,
have
it
to
sure
be.
is.
I know it doesn't have to be Anthony.
But you also you get to remember stuff like the Canticle gives you reroll damage on the turn that you go off. So those
Yep.
D3+3 damage las cannons can reroll wounds into Gusto bikes to pick them up, or anything like that. Big fan of it. I think people have been sleeping on Mars. I would probably still run that list as veteran cohort, but I really like the advance and charge stratagem. I feel like I might be
It's
addicted
so
to advance and
clutch.
charge. So,
Yeah.
but power to Manny for making it work. The WTC boards definitely give you a lot more staging grounds. So I can see why he didn't. Second place of this one was Marcus Hinson on Tau Empire. We are looking at a fairly standard Tau list here. We have got Shadow Sun, the Commander and Cold Star, an Ethereal with all the juice, Long Strike, 3 strike teams, squad of stealth battle suits, 2 squads of 4 marker drones, which is a little bit of nice spice there. and then 3 broadsides and 2 riptides. The riptides have definitely been picking up in popularity over the last couple of weeks. We
Mhm.
didn't see a lot of them from the early lists,
Really
but
interesting damage profile. Like their weapon
yeah,
profiles.
you're looking at what, like
Interesting.
8 strength 4, 8 damage 4 shots a turn out of them.
Yeah, it's a
They can
lot.
generally be hitting on 3s, get a hit reroll, and then they've still got indirect.
It's easy for them to fire and fade too.
Yeah, and if you really need it, you can trade 2 of those shots for 5 of Feel No Pain,
Yep.
which is obviously not half bad either.
Right.
He's got halvesies on him too. He's got one with the burst cannon, I think, and one with the amplified ion, or one with the ion cannon.
Yes, I
Oh,
believe he does, just
interesting.
because one doesn't have a weapon listed, which generally means that.
Yeah, it says heavy burst cannon velocity tracker.
So that one has that, and then the other one doesn't have anything. And then they have. Oh yeah, cool. I'm reading the wrong unit. And then they both have shielded missile drones, which I think is cool as well, because those just give you a little bit of extra shooting on your shield drones.
That is cool.
And they got counterfire defense systems, so anything like a stray salvo launcher, you can just turn off.
Yep.
Yep.
If you pair it to like Borkan with the storm surges, there's a decent chance one of them is going to fail to hit or wound, and the second one you can bounce it
You
off and
Nope.
keep them alive with
Yep.
14 wounds, potentially 5 of Feel No Pain. It's a good way to be.
And they've got the 5-up Overwatch, free Overwatch stratagem upgrade on them as well.
Yeah, so you get lit up on the way in if you try and go for them.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
maybe.
Third place is the reason that I decided we were going to do top 4s for this week, because this list is something we were talking about last week a little bit, which was White Scar's Aggressors. Remember those? So this is Raphael Harbinson playing White Scars. He has a Primaris Lieutenant, Khazar Khan, Chaplain on Bike, 4 various squads of Space Troops, 110 man for the double tap wall rifle strat, 3 squads of Plague Guard veterans, Primaris Apothecary, a Whirlwind for the fight last, a squad of company veterans, and 2 squads of 5 Boltstorm Aggressors.
My word, that's a lot of DACA.
Flat 3 damage plus 1 to wound, full rerolls to hit. It's got to go through some stuff.
They beat you down. It doesn't feel good.
And they get to come back with Primaris Apothecary, all that good stuff. Massive props. It's not a particularly subtle list, but it does exactly what it says on the tin and does it well.
I feel like White Scars are always like they give a lot of room to good pilots to win matchups that they shouldn't.
Yeah, I think
shouldn't.
the overall state of White Scars is they're kind of like AdMech light in that, yeah,
Right.
you can do really good with them, but you can also make one mistake and lose your army.
Yeah, just lose the whole thing.
So yeah, props to Raf. He's been playing them a lot recently. I've spoken to him a few times about them. Yeah, he's been making them work for a long time now. Big fan
Yep.
of them. Good to see somebody stuck with someone carry the torch for the rest of us who abandoned them the second they turned even slightly worse.
I get it.
Okay, and then we have finally Matt Robertson, who ended on 72 battle points with Necrons. This is the standard Eternal Conquerors and Expansionist pre-game move and OBSEC. Catacomb Command Barge, 5 Immortals, 7 Lich Guard, 5 Scorpex, 5 Wraiths, 5 Wraiths. A Technomancer with, I believe, the you can't shoot me unless you're close to me relic,
Yep.
or whatever the Cryptic Arcana are called. 2 more squads of 5 Destroyers, a Plasma Sight, 5 more Wraiths, so sum total 15 Wraiths, 15 Destroyers. Squad of Scarabs, a squad of 7 bikes who can make use of that wonderful, wonderful Veil of Darkness, and 3 Locust Heavy Destroyers, which have been seeing a massive resurgence in the last few weeks, I think, and have been very consistently good because they don't rely super heavily on their rerolls for like punching through custodes. But if they get to use their rerolls, they sure do get them. Because you're never going to feel good about turning off reroll 1s on one target, but if you don't, they're going to hit you real hard. So
Right.
Yeah.
props to Matt for showing an example of an archetype that's doing really well right now.
I enjoy that things that don't have rerolls are good right now. That it's like this is good because it doesn't need rerolls, and it's like, all right.
I also enjoy that it's a Necron list that doesn't have the Silent King because I'm just happy when that guy's not winning because
Right.
he won't beat people into playing.
Yeah, yeah, that guy is real dangerous to play. You got to be on your P's and Q's with that man.
Okay, that is War of the Roses. We have one more event to go through, and then we're going to take a 10-minute break. I believe
That's
this was
Norse Hammer, right?
Norse Hammer, yes. This has my least favorite list of the tournament winning it.
Oh, no.
And also my least favorite surnames, unfortunately.
So you have to have Anthony do all of it. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
Anthony,
realizing.
you're on the
needs to
names
go
for this
over
one.
all of the Norse Hammer lists.
All right,
are
let me
So this was the
dig.
Norse Hammer Open in Norway. This was a 30-player 5-round tournament. It's super cool to have an event from Norway. We've not covered one of these yet. I believe we've covered Sweden before, but not Norway.
Yeah, this is one of the ones where I have to copy and paste them for my meta-analysis article because I don't know how to access half of the special characters that they have in my keyboard. It's really more the second place person whose name I'm not really sure to pronounce because his L has a diagonal line through it, and I don't know what letter that is.
There's also
So,
only one vowel in his surname, and it's 10 letters long.
Oh
if
my
somebody from
god.
if there's somebody from Norway who watches us talk about this and wants to tell me how I pronounce that second place player's name, I'd be very happy to hear it because I want to know
Yeah.
how do I pronounce a letter with a diagonal line through it.
I think that's just Pavel.
Yeah.
Is
I was
it
gonna
just
say.
Pavel? Is that really just an
think it's
L?
just
But it has
Pavel,
a
yeah.
diagonal line through it. Oh,
I
they're
think
Polish.
that's just like how.
That
That
one's
person's
Polish.
Polish.
Ah,
Ah,
powerful.
2 and 3 are Polish. Okay. Now I feel very foolish.
That makes more sense.
But it
Okay.
also makes more sense.
So I'm going to go through the 4 lists, like the players, and then we'll go into the list specifically. So in the first place was Rasmus Valand Friedrichsen on Tau Empire, Pavel C with Adeptus Custodes,
There you go.
Smart.
David Komorowski on Tau Empire, and Gitil Andre Likness on Necrons. I apologize again if I butchered any of your names. Deeply apologetic.
That was so much better than I would have done.
It's way better than I would have done. I would have tried to pronounce
Pavel C's.
Pavel C's last name and gotten it probably a lot of angry emails from a lot of people
Yeah.
about how I'm not allowed to pronounce things on camera anymore.
Anything?
No, he has to stumble through words. So the
I mean, I
first
do that
place Tau
already.
list, I'm just looking at that battle point count. That battle point number is 489 across 5 games.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And when we go into what the list is, thank you very much, Kroor. You were the Necro guy. I'm pretty sure I still butchered it, but it's better than the FLG guys. I will take it.
All right, I'll take that.
Excellent. Man, we'll take better than FLG any day.
Wait till we start running events. Watch it, FLG.
Okay, if Anthony's going to take forever, I'm just going to run through it because this list makes me sad.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I can talk more about Tau Empire breakdown. if you
Yeah,
want
go
one. I
go
can
through
look it up.
Rasmus's list first, please.
I got the list. It's in front of me. I just
We'll
like
get-
making you upset.
Yeah, we're worried about
I
you
mean,
making the
it's
listeners
not-
upset because they have to keep listening to us.
Oh, well, isn't that them keeping
paid to
listening to us?
listen.
Is what they're
They
here
Yeah,
for.
about
They
this instead
pay
of
to
about things they
listen
want
to
to listen to.
Oh, I guess that's fair. All right, so this guy's list, this absolute hero, he's got a bunch of semi-interesting characters. They have a lot of words on them. They are Tau words, so they don't mean anything except you die. Let's get to the important part. This battlesuit unit. This battlesuit unit is fantastic. This thing is hysterical. It is 459 points of violence. So this guy took
Technically, it's 435 points of violence and 2 shield drones, but
those shield drones contribute. I'm counting them because when you roll, when he rolls those saves, he's committing violence on you. And I
he's
will
probably
not accept
passed like
another
18
answer.
out of the next 20. So
Yeah, you know
Okay.
that's true. Like you don't
what's
even
in
have to think
what's in
about
this
that.
crisis list? Crisis squad.
So this guy took 3 air bursts on every one of them, and then just threw a shield gen on. He was like, "No, I'm gonna just shoot you horrifically, and you can't kill me. Unlucky." And honestly, the rest of the list is 3 hammerheads and 3 devilfish, and it's got stuff in it. But that's the important part. That is hilarious.
I like that it doesn't. It has example of the Montcar for full rerolls to wound, and
Anthony, you should bring up that comment from Kruger because it talks about Rasmus a little bit.
Oh, this is actually a really good idea. I'm gonna pull that up and put it on the screen so you can listen to this guy talk about stuff.
Rasmus is essentially the Norwegian wizard of 40k. He's extremely clean and clinical, so with something like Tau, he is extremely hard to take points off. I am super looking forward to catching up with all of the new 40k players that have popped out of the woodwork because Norway have always been a fairly middle of the pack team at WGC, so we've gotten to play them a bunch. But I don't recognize Rasmus's name, so I'm really looking forward to catching up with all the teams that have had big changes over the last few years.
A new challenger appears.
Hell yeah. I mean, they can do better than us. Like, we're very, very middle of the pack. So if Norway
Yeah.
can give us a good challenge, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. All right.
So yeah, this list is horrific and I hate it. Congratulations, Rasmus.
Yeah, this list is really scary. Like it's got like the stuff that people were told to be afraid of, and now we have to be. So it's Breacher Teams, Hammerheads, really scary crisis unit. Take it.
Okay. Pavel is running a standard Emperor's Chosen list. We have Trajan, we have the Mr. Worldwide, and a Shield Captain Dognal Jetbike, 2 Contemptor Achilles, 2 squads of Sagittarium, 2 squads of Virtus Praetors, another 5 of Venatari, which is a super cool addition. Again, it's good to see that there are really no bad units in Custodes. And then another Inquisitor with standard Inquisitory stuff for, he's got Radical free, so he can even
Yep.
reroll that psychic interrogation roll. Don't
Oh,
want to fail
yeah.
that 4, just reroll it.
Just try it again.
David, we have his list is called Brrr.
Yep. He knows what's up.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows
Everybody
what he
wants in
brought.
on the name game now.
This
just
is
the Brr
a
list now.
Calm Under Pressure and Fire Saturation tile list. Can someone check what Fire Saturation does for me? Because I know Calm Under Pressure is +1 strength within 12 inches for assault weapons.
Yeah, I'm not super sure what fire saturation is. This just real quick
I'm
read
asking you to
like
look it up,
Quentin's
Anthony.
list, so I got excited. I'm looking it up now.
It's
The
+1 to
Venatari
hit
Al
for
were
burst
running
weapons within 12 inches.
the Tarsus Buckler, so they were guns and shields, Al. With Misericordias as well, so that they can still have reasonable combat.
Oh, I know what this is. This is the +1 AP when they're within 12.
Cool. So these guys get to go to AP 3 with Montcar, that and
Fire saturation?
Yeah, is that not? Oh,
It says each time a model with this tenant makes a ranged attack with a burst weapon that targets a unit within 12 inches, add 1 to that attack's hit roll.
oh, it's supposed to hit. Sorry, it's the wrong
+1
one.
to hit
Yep.
with burst cannons.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
So I'm willing to bet we're going to see a lot of burst cannons. So we have a Commander in Cold Star, we have a Ethereal, we have a Strike Team, we have a Crisis Squad with burst cannon and 2 plasmas on everybody. We have a Crisis Team with 2 burst cannons and a plasma rifle on each guy, and then another detachment, another squad with burst cannon and 2 flamers on everybody. Those flamers within 12 inches getting +1 strength is real nasty.
Yep.
We've got another Cold Star with the standard Precision of the Hunter, Thermal Projector, blah 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 for all the rerolls. 3 squads of stealth suits with all burst cannons, a Ghost Gale, and that's it.
Yep.
It's just burst cannons.
Burst cannons. This is similar in at least concept to the list that Quentin Johnson played the other week against. He was second at Cherokee.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I'm just going to check what David lost to because I'm willing to bet it's another tile list. He lost to Rasmus.
Yep.
That makes sense.
That mirror coming into play. But we have seen a few people taking Calm Under Pressure and then taking something else with it that they like.
Yeah. Calm Under Pressure
This
is
is
very strong.
This is the first fire saturation one. Most people take camouflage experts and pinpoint targeting. Are the
Cool.
2 more common ones.
The last list we're going to touch on for this week before we take a short break is going to be the Norse Hammer Open lists. This is
We just did that.
yeah, no, the Norse Hammer Open of Kettle. Yeah,
Is it Kettle Andre Lickness's? Yeah.
Oh, you're saying the last one of that. I was like, what? Oh, okay.
yeah, the last one of those lists. This is a Novok list. We have got a Chronomancer, a 5-man squad of Flayed Ones, 2 big squads of Scorpex. I believe those are 5s. Yep, those are 5s. A squad of Canoptex, a squad of Ophidian Destroyers, which is the little Wraith guys.
Mm-hmm.
Then another attachment with a Technomancer, 2 10s of Necron Warriors with the Ghost Reapers, 2 6s of Flayed Ones, so those are your actual action monkeys. And then 2 big squads of Wraiths and the Silent King. Oh, the Silent King had to make an appearance. Are we still in part 1? Yes, we are still in part 1. Because apparently we're not doing part splits anymore, so we're just going to shave time off of the other bits to make it fit now, because we can do that.
We do what we want is essentially what Innes is trying to say.
That's what Colin told us we were allowed to do now. We can just make it fit now. So that is it for the weekend of top 4s, because we only had 4 events. We figured we'd just do twice the work. How you
Yeah.
guys feeling about the overall meta?
It's bad, Jim.
That stat earlier of 4th best win rate being 48% was not. I was not prepared for that. Like the full Illidan GIF experience. Like I was not prepared for that.
Yeah, I'm going to tell everybody that 2 70% win factions at a 25% meta representation suppresses all the wins rates of your factions by a solid 5 to 6, like 5 to 10%.
And play rate by about 3 to 5% as well.
Yep. And so I'll be interested to see if people who are TOs for events track attrition for their events and see spikes in it over the next couple of weeks. I hate to be the Debbie Downer, but if you are a TO and you are watching our show, let us know or let me know. You can email me or pester me via DM and let me know if you're seeing additional attrition at your events.
I don't believe we had many drops at ours this weekend, just because we don't have that many events, so people tend to stick it out. I think we
When
had
there are events, people are like, yeah.
yeah, pretty much. I think we had like one drop and then like two on at the end of day one, because they were
Yeah.
on 1 and 2, 0 and 3, just like I'm not feeling this.
Right.
But no, broadly we didn't see much, so I can't speak anecdotally on that. Okay, guys, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll be back at 10 to 2 UK time, which is, you guys want to shout out what time is your time, so that's easier.
It is 8:40 Eastern right now. In 10 minutes, it'll be 8:50 Eastern.
7:50 Central Standard Time.
And then 2 hours before that for West
Pacific?
Coast?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
All right.
The least important coast.
That's true.
So, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for half one. We're going to be back in a little bit. We will be taking some little questions during the break. If you are not there for the live stream, then you can jump back in with us to catch the live stream. If you are looking to help out, support the channel, do anything like that, there are two great ways you can do that. One is listen to the bit at the start of the episode where Colin talks about supporting us. When that goes live sometime in the next week or so, you can become a YouTube subscriber. That'll get you access to all the paywall stuff. The other way you can do that is you can check out the Patreon, which is patreon.com/bestintabletop. I believe it's $10 a month, gets you access to the Best in Patreon Discord, where all the magic happens. You might get poached for a podcast. You might just get to have a bunch of fun. There's some great channels in there. Personally, I've been loving Game Theory for the last week or so, because I've been whinging about 40k a bunch. That's always good.
Yeah, just have a nice wine.
Can also watch Innes and Anthony alternate yelling at me when I have bad ideas.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we do that in the group chat now as well, so it's not too bad.
It's true. I get yelled at a lot.
Yeah, main Discord is safe from our wrath. It's usually just you directly now.
Just me.
Okay, guys, we are going to take a 10-minute break now. If you are watching the live stream, we will join you back in 2 minutes. If you're listening to the podcast, please do stick around for the second half. We are really looking forward to talking a little bit more about the meta and taking some questions, which always have some silliness and also some really good stuff there. So yeah, we will be back with you very shortly. As always, our mid-roll music continues to be an absolute bop. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of the only episode of 40k Fight Club. I'm your host, Innes Wilson. I'm joined by Nathan Henning and Anthony Violence Vanilla, and we are going to be going into a little bit of a meta discussion, which we're going to keep a little bit shorter this week because we are running long, and then also a good little bit of what I'm going to call bonus round, because I like it better than a lightning round, because lightning round is already been taken. But bonus round makes it sound like a video game, which works with like Fight Club. It sounds like Street Fighter-y. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
And if these guys have an issue with it, they can take it up with not having put anything in the document.
I put a sentence in that document.
You did, but did you even look at the fact that I'd renamed the segment?
No.
Cool. So you clearly had no issues with it.
Yeah. No, none.
Yep.
Innes, you could change my name to be like, this guy sucks. And I'd be like, yeah, all right, no. That's what he said. It's-
I wouldn't have to change it. It says it right there. They're already.
Ah!
The thunder round because it comes after the lightning round.
No.
No, we're far cooler. We're bonus round because it's in the second half.
That was Chris Irvine's suggestion.
It was.
I don't
Chris
know.
is a wonderful, wonderful person who has terrible sense of
I
humor.
thought Innes was about to say some awful stuff about Chris. I was like, oh, here it comes.
Okay, let's talk a little bit. So, the title of this episode is "The Meta Adapts?" question mark. The question mark is actually written in the title. It's not a question mark. It's not the symbol. It's written. That's what we're gonna put it in as. I think I might actually change that in the document. I'm actually gonna change that. That's a great idea. So are armies actually adapting to town custodes, or are we just having a slow week with less results and it's a bit swingier?
I think they're adapting to the meta via natural selection. I think they're all becoming town custodes as they are the survivors of the brutal environment. And that's what I think is pretty much happening.
Yeah, the only things that can survive are the things that at least have like a 40% win rate into them, and everything else is just kind of vanishing.
Yeah, you just get slaughtered and you get left by the wayside into the history bin.
If the meta adapting means Taulists are now specking for the mirror match, yeah, that might be what it means.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah.
Crusher, which we'll touch on later. Crusher might have adapted.
Yeah, Crusher actually did it. But it's weird. It's a weird time right now to be writing lists. Like even when like I was obviously like this is very recent to me. Like I was given a bunch of new tools and I was like, how many of these tools need to be anti-Tau tools? And how many of these tools need to be anti-custodes tools?
And it kind of feels like the answer is all of them because you can just beat the other lists because you won't play them because Crusher Custodes and Tau will beat them for you.
Right. Eventually you'll play other stuff like in the first couple rounds, but I think those matchups are easy enough given the tools that a new codex has that you should be all right. It's the like, all right, now we're in it. We're in the money, right? We're in the winner's bracket.
Yeah, you're not worried about pulling Space Marines round 2. Like,
Right. What do we need to do to stay there for? It's really day 2. Like losing on day 1 is a feels badzer, but if it happens, like unlucky, I don't know what to tell you. Like the day 2 is something that you can plan for a bit more and be like, okay, what are we really looking to do here?
yeah, somebody's got to play Richard Siegler in game 2. You just hope it's not you.
Yep, someone does. Dude, someone's got to play Matt Evans in round 1 at LVO, and that was John this year. Every year it's someone.
Oh, just the low. I think that's the Art of War thing. If you bandwagon off your faction at the last minute, as you're not, there's one Sacrificial Art of War player for that.
Yeah, yeah. One of I guess us now goes down to that every time.
Good.
Yeah, you should.
It's funny. It makes you all look human.
Take a work and get it.
For the listeners at home, Nathan is making human like gestures.
Yeah, powerful air quotes on those.
I can't make them any bigger. It's true. I guess I could use my whole arms and go question mark.
Yeah.
So broadly, what we're seeing on the meta adaptation front is that Tyranids have found a way to have lists that can hang. They're not amazing at it, but they are the best that we're seeing for any other faction. And Tau have found a way to crush Custodes.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm seeing from the meta right now.
That new Sept combo, like that custom Sept, is basically just like a finger to Custodes. It's good in the mirror, don't get me wrong, but like if Custodes get too close to that list, they get literally erased. And if they stay too far away, they don't have the range. What'd you say?
Strength 6 on the burst cannons is nasty.
Yeah, it's brutal. Like,
we can talk about it a little bit too, based on the breakdown for Tau Sept in just a second. Just
well, I mean, when you've got it up.
Oh, just in general, like that list is like if they get too close, they get erased, and if they stay too far away, they get they lose that game too. So it's a series of bad options and timing your go so that hopefully it does something. But the lack of volume in Custodes really ruins their ability to get rid of shield drones in something approaching an efficient manner.
Yeah.
So it's a rough one, man. That one's uphill. I think Tower easier to fix than Custodes though, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, for what we're looking at Tau Empire is actually we're seeing a bunch of people spread out a little bit. So we've seen kind of a concentration into a few factions, but a bunch of new things are also popping up. So most people are playing 3 things. You see Farsight Allied Worlds, and then you see Tau Sept, and those are the 3 biggest, most common ones.
Yep.
And then some people are playing Borkhan. Borkhan's actually another really popular faction. And then there's like a smattering of other people playing custom Septs essentially. But when you look at the win rates for these different things, you actually see that the best performing one is Farsight Allied Worlds, with Tau Sept coming up kind of right behind it. And then Borkhan, and then Farsight Enclaves, like actual Farsight Enclaves.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Ethereals are good.
And then everything else is kind of a little bit all over the place. Ethereals are really good, guys. Yeah. One of the things you see is like that 74% win rate that I talked about before with Farsight Enclaves Allied Worlds, because once you start
for next week, can we get that stat with mirror removed?
With the mirror removed? Sure.
Yeah, just like with no Tau for Farsight.
I don't. Yeah, we can do that.
What,
I mean, we could.
Just out of curiosity, what is like? How high can that actually go? You know what I mean?
Win
What's a point where that becomes like non-feasible? Where it's like they win every event, or like it. You know what I mean? Like, what's the the soft ceiling of that?
So I mean, a lot of these things, when you look at like the really, really high win rates in some of the sub-faction data, you have a couple that are at like 80%, but they only have like one person playing them.
Right.
So those are people who did well over the weekend and went 4-1 essentially with one of the sub factions.
Right.
This, I think, the theoretical ceiling is 75%. I don't think anybody's ever even get above it.
It's one of those
I
things
think that's
where
just a like. I think that's just the same as getting above a 15% meta representation. I think these two things just can't happen at the same time.
yeah, it's
Gotcha.
one of those things where every percentage of win rate you get again and again gets exponentially harder. So
Yeah.
the more you have to, that extra one win, you're trying to take out so much of did you go second in a bad matchup, which do still like there are still matchups that can punish Tau going
Yeah.
second. It's just they don't always punish it. Like they might have an 80% win rate going second, or an 80% win rate going first, but it's still not enough to like close out the door on that. And as
Yeah.
you see those matchups get worse and worse for the non-Tau player, like you start getting out to like that 75% where they're winning almost all their games going first and most of their games going second. Because
Right.
we are seeing the Gunhammer stats last week had a really good day on going second win rate being really low in knock-on missions. Part of that probably just because lists like Tau and Custodes do so much damage going first.
Right.
Yeah, so that's where Peter the Falcon actually did some of that analysis and posted it in the Best in Tabletop Network as well, where he put like a breakdown of it. And in particular, I just wanted to highlight that Custodes have an over 75% win rate when they go first.
Salvo Launcher's good, and they run redeploy with Castellan's Mark, so they can absolutely punish you with it.
Right. And it gives them a whole step up in the tempo game as well. They're in mid board, they're a step forward. You get one shooting phase before they connect to you in melee. It better count.
And not even always then. Like if you're playing a mission like Conversion or Death and Zeal, they can be in your deployments on turn 1 with move of 14.
Yep.
Yep. It's 77.1%, by the way, when
That
you're
is
going first.
real high. Which means that the win rate goes second is somewhere in the region of mid 50s, which seems fairly reasonable. That seems fairly reasonable.
All of the Nachman data stuff has a really hefty go first win rate boost to a lot of factions. But especially for Tau and Custodes, if I remember the data correctly. I have to go back through it over again, but like the go first win rate for Sanctuaries is 52. Recover and Tide are about 52. And then most of the rest are about 54, and then the Scouring is 58.
Tide has a really, really heavy incentive for going second because you get basically 8 free primary at the end if you're like crushing your opponent, but it's very easy to pick up like 4 to 6. And then the same for the Conversion has really good rewards for going second. But yeah, the Nachman missions and also the list are good right now. Crusher, Custodes, and Tau are all phenomenally capable of taking advantage of a first turn, which I think is just exacerbating. Like, I don't think the Nachman missions are particularly heavily slanted to going first.
Yeah, I think that's a meta thing more than it is a mission thing.
Yeah, it's just the lists right now that are good are all very heavily tuned to the point where they can be aggressive with very little downside.
I think that's a really important part of what makes a list good, though. I think in a lot of the missions, you're really like negatively impacted by going first from a primary scoring perspective. So in order for a list to be good right now, it needs to be able to take advantage of like, okay, I did go first. I need to exert heavy pressure now. I don't think a list where you're like go first scenario is bad.
Position,
Yeah, it's just like just nothing. Like positioning is fine. Like if you're setting up for turn 2 to be awful for them, that's okay.
yeah,
But if
but
it's
the good thing is that when you're playing a list like Tau Crusher and Custodes, you can basically take
Yep.
the choice of do I take a positioning turn or do I just go for it, and you're never going to be punished for it.
Yeah, either one's fine.
Especially Crusher, which gets to set up defensive powers if it goes first.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
position or go super aggressive is nasty.
So there are only 3 factions with positive go second win rates. What do you think they are?
Genestealer Call,
Nope.
Tau Custodes.
Are 2 of them. There's a third one, and it's a Space Marine Power Armor faction. It's Grey Knights.
Grey Knights. Yep.
Yeah,
Are the only
that makes
3
sense, yeah.
positives go second win rate factions at the moment.
I suppose Justin Cecil just don't have a good enough win rate at the moment to have a good go second win rate.
Yeah, their win rate's good either way. It doesn't matter if
Is
they
their
go
win
first or
rate
second.
is their win rate going second higher than their go first win rate? That's
So they just both have positives. The go second win rate that just means they have above 50% win rates going
Right.
second. So Custodes and Tau are both good going first and second. Grey Knights just are the only non S plus tier faction that has a positive going
so
second.
even Crushers now, even Tyranids have a negative go second win rate, which is
Yep.
makes sense. That list is a lot of big stuff that can benefit from obscuring, and a lot of the lists that don't go first will just get run over sometimes.
Yeah, you end up on the back foot as Crusher. It can be hard to claw back tempo.
I mean, overall, though, the going first win rate is still only like 53% overall across the games in ITC Battles app. So that's all the
That's
ITC
fine.
Battles app data. Yeah.
That's fine, but there's also the depressive effect of, does it matter if you go first into Custodes and Tau? Probably not.
No.
Not a ton.
So is it actually a 50% 3% win rate? Like if we excluded Custodes and Tau matchups there, I wonder what that looks like. And I'm willing to bet it's probably higher.
Yeah, I'm in general though. I think that that's okay, and I'm happy to have it take any percentage points that you can off Custodes and Tau, knowing like, hey, if I go second, I need to really Hail Mary some, burn my cursor. I need to Hail Mary some shit in order to get this to be functional. It's like
Mhm.
you know that now, as opposed to
If you're
being
playing
like,
against Tau and Custodes and you're not, and your game plan is to just ride the storm, that you're going to lose. You have to try stuff. Take the 20% plays. They're probably better than your win rate.
Yep.
Is what it
Yeah.
is.
It
Okay.
is. I mean,
we-
we've opened up the door to an S plus tier faction at this point, right? And we have 2 of them.
I think Tau are probably S plus, Custodes are S, and then we have
Yep.
like an A plus with Crusher, and then a bunch of A factions.
yeah,
That kind of feels like where we're at the moment, which is
if they
not
could just hammer hit Tau and Custodes and potentially Harlequins, I think the meta looks like a pretty good spot. But
and we'll see what happens with we have the new Net Codex inside a month, so let's
Maybe.
not worry too much about Crusher.
yeah, if the rumors hold for that, maybe punch that in the nuts too. But we'll
Yeah,
cross
we'll
that
see what
bridge when we
happens
get
with
there.
Crusher after the Codex.
Right.
I'm willing to believe that the new stuff makes it more appealing to play with Agile High Fleet rules, but we'll see.
Yep.
I would be cool if Crusher was an option instead of the only thing, because it's a
Mhm.
cool army, but it has limitations, and if those
Yeah.
limitations actually exist, that's much more interesting.
I do want to see Quinn's data too first before we crown them as anything in particular. One, I want to remind people that historically there have been like 4 Harlequins players, so we'll see
Yep.
what happens with that number. A lot of people are talking about jumping on it, but I'm going to be both. Well, I've played Harlequins already before, but Anthony is new to clowns, I suppose. I think there's only one data sheet in that book that's just so front pushed that it's just bonkers bananas.
Void Weaver, yeah, the Void Weaver.
Void
is
Weavers.
way too
Void Weavers are aggressive.
I don't even think they're that egregious. You put them up 10 points and they're fine.
Yeah, I would say like 10 to 20. Bladestorm's real good.
Yeah. It's a good
I
data
don't
sheet.
think that book is as badly balanced as it could be. Like it's
I will say, having played it a bit now, like no rerolls at all, like basically ever is rough.
good.
Yeah, like, and luck is real go first, second dependent. Like you really want to go second as mono Quins, because that way you'll know in advance if you needed your luck rolls for defense, and if not, your offense is now much more open. That's great, but
Yeah.
if it's not, then it's hard to make that decision at a game to game level.
And I definitely bought special luck dice from the Craft World dice in particular because they're so glowy and fun looking.
Yeah, the Craftwell dice are cool.
As I make Innes really sad and uncomfortable over there in the corner.
I don't mind. You're allowed to have cool things. I will say one thing for Eldar Harlequins. Historically, all the best players in the world play Eldar. That's a very, very big aspect. That some of the like the best players at WTC or ETC as it used to be were Eldar players. You're looking at like Duda, Fedor, all these
Naden.
guys from like Naden, Tony Chu are all big Eldar players, and I am terrified to see what they do with a very, very competent Eldar Harlequins Codex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that specific set of soup is good. Like I don't think the Craftworld Codex is broadly like going to break the meta or anything, but the indirect portion of that book is still very powerful, and combined with the upside that Harlequins now give is much better. Like the list that was already pretty good, which was like Heartillery as people are calling it, like that list is just better now. Like, and none of it got like much more expensive or anything crazy. Like it's just very powerful
You
stuff.
can probably deploy 9 of the indirect and three Night Spinners in front of a Harlequin army, and just be like, I'm going to go 4-1 at every tournament I play for now until this gets nerfed.
I worry about that specific build. I'm definitely more in on like the 2-6 setup, but that might be like I worry about hiding spinners. I've played against Night Spinners a couple times now, and they're wide body fellas. Those are some.
I play
thick-
WTC boards, so you're going to hide all 3. So
I guess like they're thick, like many C's. They would have went perfect in Thick City. Like those are wide body tanks.
cool. we are going to call it there on our meta discussion because we have run pretty long, and I would like to sleep tonight at some point. But we
That
are
makes
going to
sense.
we're going to jump onto our bonus round. So the bonus round, for those who don't know, is where we take listener questions. This is done in the Best in Tabletop Network Discord. If you would like to ask questions there, you can join the Patreon at patreon.com/bestintabletop. $10 a month, you get access to the Discord server. That's my plug for the episode. I'm going to leave it there. Okay, lightning round. We have a fair few questions this week. I do also always leave a meme for asking the questions because that's how I'm going to identify us as being different from Colin. If there's a meme that's asking about us, if it's not, it could be anybody.
Yep.
From Jason, we have: would you rather fight an orc-sized duck or 100 duck-sized orcs? And I did ask a follow-up question of: is the square cube law included? And it is.
How's that work?
Well, you're going to answer the question.
Oh no.
I don't know how the square cube law works. Is my
Okay,
real question.
that's fine. You guys are allowed to not know.
That's okay. All right.
You
it
can
is
just
what
be
it is.
wrong. It's
I
okay.
want give me 100 duck-sized orcs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want one orc-sized duck. I'm okay with that.
Nope. Ducks terrify me. If ducks were bigger, there would be no humans.
I mean, there were really big ducks at one point. They weren't ducks though; they were called terror birds, and they were in Australia.
Yep.
That makes sense. So the square cube law, for those who don't know, is broadly that as you increase something's size by like one factor, it goes up by like the square distance, but it goes up exponentially in volume, right? So if you make a duck twice as big, it becomes like 4 times the volume. So that duck made the size of an orc now weighs 4 times as much as it's used to, and its bones shatter. So I'll fight that guy that doesn't have bones.
All right.
That's the square cube law. So because ducks are very small and hollow bones and shit like that, once you make it really big, it's gonna implode, and I can beat the crap out of that. That's no bother. I'll have you having duck soup for days.
Yep. I guess I'm throwing down with
Also-
100 tiny orcs.
That's
Yeah.
why I picked a big duck too, but also because they can't use guns. And 100 duck-sized orcs can use guns and choppas and things.
And also, if they just believe that you're small too, like
They already
Then-
won. That
well,
might be what's
I guess you
happening
can just-
right now.
you can just believe real hard, like those guardsmen did in that one story
Yeah.
when they ran out of ammo and yell "pew pew pew," and the orcs will
I
die.
feel like
Yeah.
the worst game of tiny soldiers ever.
Yeah.
Okay, next question from Benny Way. What are the Fight Club's hosts predicting in the Forge World updates FAQ for Custodes, Tau, and Eldar?
I hope they just remove the entire custody section of the Forge World book.
Yeah, burn it with fire.
Boom.
Alex, I did the very basic amount of math and I understood the concept. I'm claiming victory over these two. Please don't go in more in depth to this than I have to at 2 a.m.
Perfect.
Can we just talk about the cube rule of food while we're at it too? That's the actual cube rule that
Yes,
I like.
yes. There are only
That's the
six.
one
There are
where-
6 types of food based on which phases they have covered, which
Mhm.
means that all burgers are sandwiches.
Yep, it means hot dogs are tacos.
Yes. And pizzas are the same thing as a cheese on toast.
Yeah,
That tracks. That's basically the same. Except whatever they're
And,
doing in Chicago, that's not pizza. That's like a sad abomination.
look, you don't have to like it. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not insulted anymore. I'm not really from here. I just got stapled to the city.
Okay,
Yeah.
back to the question.
Yep. On track.
What are we predicting for the Forge World updates for Custodes, Tau, and Eldari?
I imagine Wraith Steers are going to get -1 damage like the rest of the Wraith stuff did. They'll probably update their weapon profiles.
Shadow Seers will be sad because they'll not get an update. I bet Erlith won't even get the 3-1 damage cap. That'd be so
He
funny.
won't. He almost
won't.
certainly won't.
If he did, that would
Custodes
be
have
cool.
had
though.
theirs already.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not expecting
got-
much more from them.
got
Maybe
double
Dreadnoughts
core.
will lose double core.
They got the double core.
They got that core.
What
core.
else do they need?
Talons might get their leadership 11 eventually.
Nah.
Well, we got one from YouTube chat, which is Fight Club. What are your thoughts on the Webway Gate? Do you think it's a unit that'll commonly show up, or will the risk of it being blocked by certain train setups be too high?
I think
don't-
the higher risk for it is that there will be somewhere you can place it, which means you can't remove 20 your deployments onto fit it, and where you can place it will suck.
That right there.
And it's
That
also banned,
also-
banned in WTC.
Yeah, WTC bans it. Like, I don't think it'll be common. It'll be a thing that someone does, and you'll be annoyed when it happens. But I don't think it'll be common.
Mhm. I also think there's the thing where you overemphasize how much it can do and you put too much shit in reserves, and then somebody just surrounds it with all of their troops and you can't get out of it.
Oh, I cannot wait to put 10 bikes in a circle around that thing.
Go on
Yep.
then, deploy.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. I'm just gonna leave the 10 bikes here. I have all of the objectives. I do all my secondaries. You can't deploy anything for through 3 turns. All of your guys in the Webway Gate die.
Yeah.
Gene Stealer cults would love that shit.
Mhm.
Well,
I'm
they'll
gonna
just come in
physically
off-boarded.
encase it.
Yeah.
I mean, they will come out of normal strategic reserves. It's true.
Fine. I can
Yeah,
be
that's
miles
way
away.
better. Yeah. All right.
You can
What's
deploy
next?
into combat with things, but you have to physically be able to fit your models, which is not the same thing.
That is true.
All right. We do have more questions.
With Tau mainly being looked at as a sword faction, do you feel where do you so this is for teams? With Tau mainly be looked at as a sword, which is like an attacker faction, so the one that you would like say, here, you get to choose this or this, and you to lose to either one of them.
Yep.
Where do you feel like Harlequins, Custodes, and Harlequins, Craft Rolls, or Custodes sit in terms of builds and rolls? I'll tackle this one because I think I have the most experience with teams here.
Yeah.
Small guess. Craft Rolls and Harlequins are probably looking like they're a fairly all comers list. They kind of just do everything at least pretty okay, and you can probably skew them slightly from one way or the other. You can run light if you really want to pair shooting. You can run dark if you really want to pair combat. From there, where you go with it is kind of up to you. They will probably end up being more of an attacker faction, but if they can defend safely, they'll be really good at it when they get board choice that just screws you over.
Yep.
Custodes will, at the moment, do whatever they want because who cares? Just pair them into anything that's not Tau and win.
Yep.
Is probably pretty reasonable. Long term, they'll probably fall into a similar role that the previous book fit in, which is that they're a very strong defender list that can no sell a lot of aggressive lists without giving up big points and has the opportunity to punish for a good win, even in situations where it maybe necessarily shouldn't because it gets board choice or
Yeah.
it gets to pick a matchup that's really, really okay for it.
Those big stupid shield guard lists are horrifying for some armies to fight. Like even as an attacker, it's like,
You put in whatever you can.
yeah.
Next one is how do strong players keep their sword sharp? This is from Sam Lemon in the BITN Discord chat. So, how do you keep your sword sharp, so to speak, and make improvements when they are only able to play against weaker players in their meta? I think this is actually just a general question of like, how do you find quality sparring opponents and how do you keep improving?
I built mine. I found people that were casual or, like fluff based players and was like, come with me on a wild journey called competitive play. And then from there, I kind of just hit the scene real hard to try to, and then people that I liked that I played at tournaments, I would get their contact info and work upwards from there. I don't super have this problem because my local meta is really rough. So it's pretty easy to get decent to good practice to great practice sometimes, depending on who's available. But yeah, I find that building your meta up goes a lot farther than like random 2 hour away practice games once a month.
Yeah.
Expand TTS too is a good way. If you join something like the BITN Discord, you can play on TTS a bit. It'll keep your fundamentals good. It's not like perfect. There's no perfect substitute for an in-person game of 40K.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
I'm just a TTS
like,
hater. The format makes me
yeah.
itch.
But also, like the special rule,
Yeah, lose obsec.
take more.
Bad.
You take mortal wounds and lose obsec.
Yeah, it's rough.
I do too every time my model clips into a wall. Yeah, for me, I kind of did this. I did half and half. I did the same thing Anthony did. I built up my local scene. We now have 4 of the Scotland team live in my area, including myself, because I was just like, right, eventually these guys will get good enough. It took me a few years longer than Anthony because I was working with a smaller pool, but it gets there in the end. Just make the people you want to play against. The other thing I did, which is going to sound really, really big headed, I used to do like challenges for myself in a game. Like I'd play a game of 7th edition. This is back when my scene was like my local scene was terrible, and I'd be like, "All right, I'm not going to leave my deployment zone until turn 4 of this game, and try and win that way." Um, yeah, it works more than you think it does, and it gets you good at thinking about the game in different ways that you wouldn't normally, and it helps you see different approaches. I also used to do stuff like I would play against my opponent's garbage list and be like, "Well, that's a rhino. It's about the same defensive stats as this thing that's good right now. I'll see what it takes to kill it." And I
Right.
just try and learn little things like that from games, like heuristics things.
Yep.
Um, yeah, you don't get as much because this was on a time before stratagems as well. So it's just kind
Right.
of like, all right, what does it take for my list to kill a rhino like at range without risking anything, that kind of thing, and then that
Yep.
applies roughly to, well, that's about the same defensive stats as this other thing
A
or that.
Razorback.
Oh yeah,
I
my
do
or a
I do think it's
Carnifex or
also
a Hive Tyrant, 7th edition. But
a lot of people focus too hard on playing like a perfect game in practice when practice is when you should do stupid stuff. Like when you think to yourself, man, I could blitz this solitaire this turn, 2d6 inches, and then charge it into Farsight and see what happens. Like maybe that's not a good idea all the time, but it's a good idea to
you
practice
should
it.
probably know what happens if you have to do it. So
Yep.
go and
Yeah.
If you
practice
need,
all the time.
you should know the math and the situation and like how it plays out. Because even if you make a mistake, like in practice, then you know what your units can and cannot do, right?
Right.
So there's like practice means doing stupid stuff. Like that risky play you would never do in a tournament. Just try it this one time to see how it plays out.
Oh, also be cool with your practice partners. Like if someone's slightly out of position or something, don't get all crazy with them because it's a practice.
You will learn nothing.
Yeah, just be cool. Like let them take stuff back. Go back a phase if you have to, and be like, "We're gonna try that again." Like, just be cool.
I've definitely done a few things with with practice opponents where I'm like, I'm going to show you what happens now that you've done that, and then
Yeah,
we're going to reset it to what it when before you made that mistake, and then
yeah,
I like delete half their army, and I'm like, okay, and that's why you don't put that unit there.
yeah. That's why that
You put
doesn't
it
go
over
there.
there now.
Yep.
Yep.
That's always very productive because your opponent you get to like drill the mistake into your opponent without ruining another 3-hour practice game,
Yep.
um, which
And then
is really easy to do.
the next question is what's the best advice to give someone who is going to their first tournament?
Chill out and enjoy it.
Tournament one is relax. Just chill. Like the first one, you might do well, but probably not. So just be cool. Like just try to remember your rules, focus on your stuff, play your game as well as you can, and just
Socialize. Do
yeah,
the
socialize.
socializing, but make the socializing thing the thing that you focus on at the first event. Go and like talk to the people on table one, like ask them how their game went. Like just try and figure out if there's more events in your area, if that's not something you're good at or that
Yep.
you're aware of. Find out if they have like a community Discord and like just go and find if there's a store Discord for the store you're playing at. Go and just like network the heck out of your first tournament. That's how you get to more. That's how you find out where people are doing practice days, practice games. That's how you
Yep.
get access to people you can borrow armies and crap from.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, networking is OP. I found this out very, very recently because I kind of ignored this for like 6 years of 40K.
Oh
It's
yeah.
really, really, really OP.
Yeah, it's super strong. Especially like, just a general thing for people local to me. If you live in like the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, anything in that like vague zone, Connecticut, like I run practice days where like I will get people of like, my group in and we'll play like 9, 10 games in a weekend because it'll be 2 days long and everyone's just slamming games. And that is a really good way to learn if you are local to those areas.
And yeah, don't and at your first event, don't worry about how you do. You might do well, you probably won't. Like
Yep.
my first tournament, I think I spoke about this before. I went 1 and 2 because I like
Same.
eventually hit the depths where I was playing as garbage players. And then like my first real event, like I was actually taken seriously. I went 2 and 1, and then I started doing 2 day
Mhm.
events. Like my first 2 day event, I went like 5 and 1 at because I'd been playing for so long and my army was really broken, which was nice. But
Yep.
I'd been building up to that for ages across like RTTs and stuff like that. If it's an
Right.
RTT, just chill. If you're at a 2 day, Grizz day one, it's going to suck. It's going to feel really, really bad when you're like at game 3 and you're like on your third game of getting beat. You're like kind of confident with your army, but not really. And
Right.
then day 2, go chill, go and have a nice evening, go like with the group that you came with, or go
Yep.
find a bar to chill in, go like, actually sleep at a tournament. It's a good advice that I never follow.
Yep. I
And
sleep
then come
every
back for
time.
day 2 and just like, yeah, okay, I'm here to do this thing. Focus on that thing and don't do the stuff that will make your day worse. If you have like habits that help you get through, like, try to put this in a way that makes it sound vaguely more interesting. If you have like a pump up song that you can listen to in the morning in the car on the way over, or like you walk with some headphones in, just to like get yourself a little more hype for like winning that one game that will make the tournament feel good for you. Like do that; it really helps. Have like the dinner that you don't normally have. Go to the restaurant that you really like.
Yep.
Yep. For during the day too, bring a water bottle and a snack. Like
Yeah.
you'll like a full day of 40K is 14 hours long sometimes, and you can be really tired at the end of it. So make sure you stay hydrated and fed. That was something that I almost forgot to do, and I ended up buying water bottles. It's also nice to go up with a group if you know people. Go to a tournament with a group of people. It's a lot more fun if you have friends or if you have like a group of people you play with who all want to go to an
Yeah,
event.
go to
Yep.
tournaments with a group if you can. It is a much better experience.
It's so much better.
Yeah, and then I will do the list of things that you should not do that I always do. Tournaments. Don't drink way too until 4 a.m. the night before. Don't drink till 4 a.m. on the second night as well. Don't only drink energy drinks for the entire tournament. Eat breakfast. These are all things I don't do.
Try salads.
Do these.
Salads
Try,
are cool.
try a salad. Yeah, you will eat like you do not want the meat sweats on day 2. But been there, done that, done it again. Keep doing it. Yeah, eat some vegetables. Have some fruit like in the morning. Breakfast. Yeah, have breakfasts.
Have non-greasy food at least once or twice through the course of the weekend. And like stretch, do something that moves you around because like you will
Shower.
get so sore. Yeah, shower for the love of God.
Sweet Jesus,
I don't.
please.
Nobody wants to like walk over to you with like a full bottle of Febreze and just dump it over you.
In fairness, 40K for me, like at events, has been almost entirely fine for that. I have not run into issues.
No,
with
me
that yet.
neither. But that's probably because we keep drilling it into people.
That's
I live
fair.
I live by the rule of every day 3 hours sleep, 2 meals, 1 shower.
Yep.
You get at
Three
least that.
sleep? Oh.
Oh man, Innis,
what was that?
no, no,
3 hours. of
3
sleep. Oh,
hours of
that's-
sleep, Innis.
Hell
Three-
yeah, dude.
3, 2, 1 rule.
So really, the rule should be 8 hours of sleep,
No.
and it can be split across 2 days, kind of.
That's yeah. Last one we went to bed at 4:30 and we're up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then we
Innis.
went to bed at like 12 and I was up.
There's
at like
no way
5.
you were sober when you woke up.
No.
You woke up still drunk.
Absolutely not.
For
I played
sure,
round
yeah.
1 still drunk.
Yeah.
So-
Okay.
We have a couple more questions in the chat. I'm just gonna get away from this depressing topic of how Innis is destroying his body.
He's got 2 years left in doing that still.
That exactly. I've already 1 sleep, 2 meals. 1 sleep, 2 meals, 3 showers.
Innis is still young, so he can still do this. Jason
That is
says,
serious shit right there. That's gaming.
there you go. 1 shower between each game to wash the funk off of you.
Sleep in
from
between
your
showers.
opponent. You're playing while the shower curtain is still on you. You
Yeah.
know. From chat in the Best in Tabletop Network, we have. We'll skip that one. We kind of talked about it a little bit. From Andrew W, would you adjust the points awarded by any of the generic secondaries? Like, should RND allow scoring of 15 points? Should to the last max out at 12, etc.? I think to the last should max out at 12. I think that would be good.
I think Assassinate should be 5 points per.
I hate you.
I think that sounds great. Make Innis's GSC list like
Yeah,
50
just
points of
70
Assassinate.
points Assassinate.
I think Engage needs a buff.
Engage definitely does need a buff. Engage is not actually very good.
I think Banners needs a buff because the new missions are really bad for Banners. Like I'd maybe have Banners just like start scoring at the end of each turn and then again at the end of the game, so you get 6 ticks of it.
Yep.
I think that would be smart. Yeah.
I take banners a decent amount now, but a lot of those are like, I'm gonna get 5 if everything goes sideways, and then I'm gonna put some more up later.
missions where it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Like to start on. Like if you get the first objective move, you can get it pretty okay at the one where you move objectives, secure missing artifacts, and it's
Yeah.
fine in Tide of Conviction, and that's kind of recover the relics is okay. And that's kind of it. So there's like 2.5 good missions. The rest of it's like, I'll get 5 and maybe another 6.
Yeah, you get some
If
more
I'm lucky.
later.
I would remove all the kill beta primaries.
Oh,
Beta
yeah,
from
the
missions.
tertiaries. Yeah, that's
Yeah, the
reasonable.
tertiaries.
I'd
I would remove all those
probably-
kill ones probably. I'd also remove the special rule from that one mission about no forward to play because I think that's weird and garbagey.
It's all right.
I
That
think
mission, we don't play that mission. It's okay. I think Titan Slayer should just be and bring it down. Just give an extra 2 points on Titanic Kill.
Yep.
Because that doesn't give you a separate secondary. Assassinate probably needs to be like 2 for regular and 5 for Warlord and +1 for vehicle characters or something like that. Like it just needs
It's so hard. It's so often so hard to get to characters that I think you should be very heavily rewarded.
I
for doing
hate
so.
I hate having like an army where you take like your 3 HQs and a support character and you give up 13 points on it, it just feels
Yeah,
so
just don't get them
egregious.
killed.
But like if you build a vehicle list, you have to have like 1,600 points of vehicles to give up 15 points on it.
Yeah, okay, so I add a bonus for them being vehicles. +1 for vehicle, +1 for warlord, 3 base.
But no, I
Sure.
think the 3 base is the issue for it.
Maybe we add in a special secondary for elite infantry as well. Like the not
Oh,
no
yeah.
prisoners, but something else. Like bring back gangbusters or whatever it was called for ITC.
Gangbusters, yeah, give me gangbusters back. These Terminator units, get out of here.
Well, I meant like custodes and crisis suits mostly, but
Yeah.
you can get more prisoners on them. Stranglehold is definitely too easy.
Stranglehold is
Sure.
like, are you playing the game? The only reason I don't take Stranglehold every game is because I'm taking Herd.
I described my secondary strategy in the Biff Pod Discord this week as I like to be flexible and always pick Stranglehold.
Yeah, Yeah.
I mean, you always take herd unless you're playing against Harlequins, and then you probably shouldn't take herd.
You
I
shouldn't
would
always
still-
take Herd.
yeah, I take Herd against Harlequins.
And that scares me.
That game is a bloodbath, son. There is not stuff left alive at the
But
end.
but I also took herd at my GT win against Rack Spam.
There's also a lot more diagonal deployments now, right? There's 5 diagonal deployments now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like Herd is riskier in those because it's a lot easier for one
Mhm.
unit to progress all.
Yeah.
One above all, yes, we did talk about Crusher Stampede winning the clutch at GT. That was in part 1 of the show. That would have been about an hour and a half ago on the timeline. If you check back on the VOD or you check the podcast feed, that should be it. I think we are going to mostly call it there, though, folks.
Yeah, we did just clip 2.5 hours out, so
Sorry, there's a 10-minute break in there. That counts. And Colin talked for a couple minutes.
We can talk for 10 more minutes then, Innes. Congratulations on volunteering yourself for
Yeah.
staying awake later.
yeah, come on, Mr. 3 hours of sleep. Where you going?
No. I sleep a normal amount when I'm not at tournament, so I can afford to do that.
Oh, you think it's like a battery? I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
You're one of those
You get a
people.
candle, right? And you can burn it at both ends, or you can start in the middle. And I believe in that.
Literally not how any of that works, Innes. As a graduate student who has a candle that burns from an infinite number of ends, you run out of ends that you can burn.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That means that there's no more sleep to lose.
No, it means that you've lost all the sleep.
I think
You're
that means that
just
you go into the big sleep, the one that goes for a long time.
Yeah, that's true. You hit the big sleep. I think bodyguard shouldn't be a thing anymore either because just brought
Neither should indirect. Just remove it from the game.
Yep. Indirect hits on 6s.
unless you have a unit perform an action to spot.
Hits on 6s.
Hits and 6s, no rerolls at all. Hit
Yep.
wound damage, shots, anything.
Yeah.
Maybe just make SMS and AFP no longer ignore a line of sight.
Remove AFPs and cyclic ion blasters from the crisis suits because they don't come in the box.
Make them cost 50 points per.
That's the same thing as what I just did.
The crisis body should go up 20 points per model.
Yeah. I like how we've gone from secondaries to that, but also nobody should listen to secondary.
Remember how we hate 40k and everything it stands for, and Custo Chip like should be like 130 points a model because they're
That's-
basically characters.
I don't care. I want all of your Telemons in the garbage.
I want all of your
All of
Harlequins in the
them.
garbage. But
Whoa,
I mean, I
they're all
know.
good as well.
Easy.
Just Nathan's. Yours are fine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that I see. I'm just gonna put mine off to the side of the shelf so I can make room for the Swarmlord that I'm painting. Is that what you want?
I will tell you wholeheartedly, and we can just end on this note because it's real wholesome. Of all the communities that I've like gone to join as a Photom whore that rerolls every time something is good, the Tyranid Hive Mind community was extremely accepting. Everyone else was like, new guy, reroller, go away. The Tyranid folks were like, hell yeah, dude, let's go. Another person in the ranks.
Look,
There's
there
something to
is
that.
enough biomass to go around. There's a galaxy of it.
Yeah.
Oh, the main change I would make to secondaries is removing all faction secondaries.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Oh,
Why
how
not?
do I
Oh, sure.
ban someone from the YouTube chat? Oh, disgusting.
Ban all faction secondaries and ban all Forge World. There you go.
Oh, dang.
Dude,
well,
what
I'm okay
year
with
is
that.
it? I don't like that.
2017, I
book.
think.
We've gone back to the early 2000s, the early aughts.
Terrible.
I
Let's
don't
just
know.
play fantasy. On that note,
When Old World drops, I'm going to be signing up for Team Scotland for Old World and never looking back. So
Innes is gonna play orcs and goblins and shoot fanatics.
no.
at people.
Phoenix Guard, my man. Phoenix Guard.
Oh,
Oh
what?
my god, please
What?
don't. Oh my god.
Elves?
What are you talking about? You would play elves?
Absolutely.
What is this?
I'll go and get my high elf army out of the garage. It'll be great. And on
I
that
feel
bombshell,
betrayed
everybody,
on a
thank you
fundamental
very
level
much.
by this piece of news. We need to no.
Thank
We
you very
need to
much,
talk
everybody, for
about
joining us for
this more.
40k Fight Club, the meta adapts ? I have been your host, Innes Wilson. These is Anthony Manala and Nathan Henning. We are going to be taking a leave for a week. If you would like to join us for the live stream next week, it will be the same time at the same place. That is 12 a.m. UK and something on the American side. We will be here
6
for another
p.m.
live stream.
Central
We will
Standard.
have figured out something to go with the second half of the show to replace the second half of the show that no longer exists. If you'd like to support us, please do drop a like or a subscribe on the YouTube video. Leave a comment. We will do our best to try and get through to all of those. And you can chuck us some actual support through either the subscriber feature on YouTube when that goes live, or through patreon.com/bestintabletop, where you can support us and join the Discord for $10 a month. Those will be separate things. The paywall and the Discord are separate, but we really hope to see you in either one or both of them. Yeah, love you all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.